Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another Yoruba Ronu series. I'm very sorry for the delay. We had some technical glitches on the space. I want to um, remind you that you can contact us on our WhatsApp tonight, and you can see the number scrolling on our screen. My name is Olapeju Ayola, and I will be your host for tonight. Today, we're going to continue with our series from the last 2 weeks. This week, today will be the third week. We'll be discussing this particular topic, and we will be contrasting the Sudan situation alongside what's happening currently in Nigeria. Our main focus today will be on Kaduna, the Kaduna state, and the situation of Kaduna state for the past, at least for the past 15 years. The situation right now in Nigeria, it's quite delicate, and we can see that there's been a lot of issues, a lot of insurgents every single day. We're seeing different circumstances, different activities happening across the entire Nigeria. And I've stated this quite a number of times on this session. I've said we need to be a real community, we Yoruba people. And I reminded us that in the 90s, when we didn't have the police, we created a community vigilante where we're able to look out for one another. And I want Yoruba to also think about it now, to start being more united and act as a collective, to be vigilant of the environment and all the things happening around them, to be able to report to the right authority, and also to be able to start speaking to our leaders and inquiring about the situation of things and what they are doing to assist us at this very delicate period. So tonight we're going to continue, like I said earlier, with the topic, and we're going to use the case study of Kaduna State itself precisely to navigate through the situation. And with me tonight, my co-host, who are always here every week. We have Madam Ajoke Ade, we have Baba Bakare, and we also have Mr. Oluwale Lewis, who will all be moderating the Q&A. We also have Mr. Jolomi, who will be on space, so receiving your calls on the WhatsApp and your text messages, as well as also moderating alongside our other co-hosts. And also, we have Madam Ajoke, who is on the platforms in the comment section, engaging everyone and giving you information in the comment section as well. I would like to introduce the speaker for tonight, the TYF president worldwide, the Are Balariwa Oladimeji. Are, are you ready to go in depth into the case study for tonight?
Yes. Good evening, everyone. It's a privilege to be here again to be able to speak to wonderful people around the world and to be able to discuss a very important topic. The topic we'll be discussing today is what we've started 3 weeks ago, which is about the case of Sudan. I greet you all in the name of Olodumare. I greet all lovers of freedom from America, from Canada, from Nigeria, Benin Republic, Ghana, Sierra Leone, from Europe, from Africa, from everywhere, from Yoruba land of Nigeria, everywhere you're listening to us, where you're listening via audio on YouTube, on Facebook, on TikTok, on Twitter. We are really, really grateful for this wonderful moment that we have in order to educate ourselves. Battles are not fought on the battlefield. Most battles are fought and won in the mind, which is why we are winning the heart and mind of our people by this non-stop intellectual awakening in order to understand what is happening in Nigeria, what is happening in West Africa, what has happened in the past, what is currently happening, and what might probably happen in the future. We've been talking about a very important topic, which is that Nigeria is on its way to Sudan. The reason why this topic is so important for each and every one of us is that we need to be prepared for any eventuality. We need to be prepared for anything that can happen to us not just to Yoruba people, to the different ethnic nationalities within Nigeria. There are all the God, Almighty Allah, God, Olodumare, no matter what you call it, has always been good to us as a people, because there are always examples that we can learn from, which is why human beings are rational and magnificent creations of Almighty God. When we talk about learning from examples as regards to what can happen to Nigeria, for the past 2 weeks, I've been talking about Sudan, how that beautiful and wonderful country of the Black people was turned into the graveyard of millions of people because of the quest of some ethnicities to dominate, annihilate, and erase some other ethnicities in the name for the sake of power, clothed in the name of religion. The same thing is happening in Kaduna. Kaduna State is a good example of Sudan. Kaduna State is a good example of Nigeria. And what is happening to the people of Southern Kaduna might be the final situation, what is surely going to happen to the people of Southern Nigeria if we are not careful. For now, we are still lucky. For now, because the Middle Belt, when we talk about the Middle Belt, I'm talking about the axis of resistance that has been fighting against the expansion, southwest expansion of the army of Uthman Dan Fodio since 1804. They've been like a buffer against southern states. They've been like a buffer against the rest of us, against the littoral, coastal, ethnic nationalities in Nigeria. But the question we have to ask ourselves is, how long can they withstand the onslaught? If, for instance, remembering the expansion of Russia during the time of Empress Catherine, when Russia was expanding from the north towards the Black Sea into the Caucasus and Central Asia, many ethnicities like the Khanates, the different Mongolian Khanates, the Tatars, the Cossacks, the Circassians, the Chechens, many of these ethnic nationalities, even the Turkic people, the Mongolian people that were inhabiting all those places, while many of them were exterminated and annihilated. And this did not take place within 50 years, 100 years, 200 years, and 300 years. Many of these places fell due to non-stop war by the southward expansion of the Russian Empire, who believed that it was their mandate to be able to access the Black Sea, which they finally did. And it was they had an intention to be able to penetrate Central Asia and to find a way to reach the Indian Ocean, which they were not able to get. One of the reasons why Russia invaded Afghanistan was that Russia wanted to have access to the Indian Ocean. But I'm not here to talk about Russia. I'm just trying to juxtapose how imperial ethnic nationalities, how they think, and why imperial ethnic nationalities cannot stop expanding no matter what happens. Today, it's a wonderful day, as I said, because we are going to be talking about Kaduna State. Kaduna State is the 7th state in the northwest region. It is almost evenly divided between the Hausa Fulanis ethnic amalgam and other ethnic minorities in the north. And mostly in the north, there are Muslims, and in the south, they are mostly Christians. This has always been, this has been the polarity and the division within Kaduna State. Kaduna State used to be called the North Central States. Now, how did a state that used to be called the North Central States transformed into a Northwestern state? These are the questions we need to ask ourselves within Nigeria. I know today many of you are going to be shocked. So Kaduna State used to be called the North Central State. So geographically and geopolitically, that area called Kaduna is in the North Central. But because of the hegemony of the Nigerian politics, that has been instituted due to the non-stop hegemony of Hausa Fulani Kanuri military oligarchs, aristocrats, into the position of power within Nigeria. They've been able to structure Nigeria. They've been able to create a Nigeria that has perpetually made them to become the hegemon within the Nigerian Federation. That is the bitter truth. And Kaduna was formed, was the state that was created after the created by Gowon, after the balkanization of the northern region. So Katsina state was created out of Kaduna state. And one of the reasons why Katsina was created out of Kaduna state, it was to be able to isolate, to remove the Hausa Fulani Muslim dominant population in order to create a form of geopolitical balance in that place called Kaduna State. Now, did this act actually solve any problem in Kaduna State? The answer is no. Let's go further. Now, the creation of Kaduna State, I would really like to go back into history. The protectorate, the region called the Northern Region, was created in 1900. Immediately after the conquest of the Sokoto Caliphate. That was when Kaduna State was created. That was when the Northern Region was created. The Northern Region was a British creation. There is nothing called one North. One North, is created by Almighty Allah. It's all lies. The North was created by the British. I'm going to go further. The area you see as the northeastern part of Nigeria was mostly controlled by the Germans and by the French. The Borno Empire, for instance, the Kanem Borno Empire was controlled by the French. It was the French forces, colonial forces, that defeated the Kanem Borno Empire. It was not the British. And it was the Germans that controlled those areas of Adamawa axis. Now, how did a French colony and a German colony became part of the Northern Region? The reason why we are going back into history is for us to actually understand where we are coming from so that we can know where we are going. The Northern Region, the Northeast, it's also so that you can understand why the Connaught is like a special bride to the British. The British knew what they were doing when they were creating Nigeria. When people talk about restructuring Nigeria, when Chief Obafemi Awolowo was talking about ethno-linguistic federalism, they are talking about the restructuring of Nigeria in order to undo the damage that was done by the British imperialists and by the damage that was done by the Usman Dan Fodio jihad against the rest of Nigeria, especially in the Middle Belt and the Connaught. It's just like trying to factory reset things back into nature. This is what we mean by restructuring and ethno-linguistic federalism, which is why some ethnic nationalities have always refused any means for us to leave this conundrum that has turned a country, a geopolitical entity that's supposed to be the giant of Africa, into a cesspool of killings, slaughter, and destruction. After the French conquered the Kanem Borno Empire, the British asked the French to give them that area, give them Borno Empire. In exchange, the British gave Madagascar to the French. Now, the question you have to ask yourself, why did the British give up Madagascar, that huge chunk of land in the Indian Ocean, give up Madagascar so that the British could get Borno, that Borno-Yobe axis? The British did this because of what they were creating called Nigeria. They were creating a Nigeria where the Afro-Asiatic, Arabized Islamic civilization will control and subjugate the animist Negro civilization in the South. This was what the French created. This was what the British created. After the First World War, the British were not done. The British did everything humanly possible in order to lobby and socially engineer the German the German colony of Cameroon in northern Cameroon, and added it back into Nigeria. That was how that huge chunk of territory, how you see that huge chunk of land, it was socially engineered by the British. So the British were able to get colonies from France, from France and from Germany to be able to create northern Nigeria. So the northwest was from Britain, while the northeast was from France and from Germany. That is why you find Arewa today. So when people come around and start calling you Kafiri, infidel, and all those terrible slurs, and they start saying that it is Almighty Allah that created Arewa, it is all lies. The Arewa as an entity did not exist before 1900. It was created by British imperialism in order to be able to create an ever powerful, eternally powerful north and ever eternally slavish and weak south. Let's go further. Most of these places we call the Middle Belt today, that is now located in the geopolitical area called the North Central. Many of these places were places that actually fought and defended their land. They resisted the jihad of Uthman Fodio, that wanted to plunder, that wanted to erase, that wanted to enslave, that wanted to subjugate in the name of religious Puritanism. So many of these places fought and defeated Uthman Fodio forces. I'm talking about places now in Benue, places in Kogi, places in southern Kaduna, in Plateau, many places in Adamawa, some places in southern Borno, many places in Nasarawa, many places in Kwara, many places in Niger. So these were historical places that belong to the Kwarafa Confederacy. So there are three major empires in the north, in the area called the Northern Protectorate. Just three major civilization states. I hope as we continue in this conversation, a lot of people can actually figure out, can pay attention to this conversation. Because what we are going to be exposing today are going to tell us the fundamental reasons why Nigeria is what it is. The problem of Nigeria is beyond the issue of rice and gari. If any politician comes tomorrow and lies to you that corruption is the problem of Nigeria, it is a lie. If anybody tells you that the leadership is the problem of Nigeria, it is a lie. Nigeria has a structural problem. Nigeria has an identity problem. Nigeria has a foundational problem that needs to be solved. Nigeria has an existential problem that many of our political elites continue to paper over the cracks. And what has happened? It has led to the loss of millions of lives and properties since 1914 amalgamation. Let's continue. I said there are three major civilizations in the north. We have the Sokoto Caliphate, which was a Fulani-ruled Afro-Asiatic Sunni Islamic civilization. And we have the Kanem Borno Empire, which is the Kanuri-ruled Afro-Asiatic Sunni Islamic civilization. There are two, even though both of them were Islamic empires, they are two different people entirely, different civilizations entirely. This can be seen in the 19th century when the Sokoto Caliphate, led by Sultan Bello, the son of Uthman Dan Fodio, wanted to annihilate and conquer the Kanem Borno Empire. And he was soundly defeated. And not only that, the Kanem Borno Empire were able to ask this question. And what was the question they asked? If we are all Christians, if we are all Muslims, because you said you said the jihad of Uthman Dan Fodio was a puritanical jihad, where you are trying to destroy all sorts of bid'ah, all sorts of shirk. But why are you attacking an Islamic empire that has existed for more than 900 years before the birth of Uthman Dan Fodio? Are we not Muslim enough? That was the first time the agenda, the populist ideology of Uthman Dan Fodio was challenged by another Islamic empire in the 19th century. What happened? The Sokoto Caliphate still waged brutal war against the Kanem Borno Empire. And the Kanem Islamic Borno Empire were able to defeat the Sokoto Caliphate in order to be able to keep their identity, to be able to keep their independence, to be able to keep their sovereignty in the 19th century, while many other ethnic states collapsed under the Sokoto Caliphate. What about the Kwarafa Confederacy? The Kwarafa Confederacy was built on the Nok African civilization. So you can see that it is the Nok civilization that is in between two powerful Islamic empires in that area called the Core North. From southern Kaduna to Benue State, to Taraba State, to Plateau State, to Nasarawa, to Niger State, to Kogi State, many of these states are built on Nok civilization. The Middle Belt are homogeneously the same civilization, from the same civilization stock, which is why it was called the Kwarafa Confederacy. Even though they might be multilinguistic, multi-ethnic, and heterogeneous, they have the same civilization stock, which is why they call themselves the Middle Belt today. The Middle Belt is nothing but an axis of resistance, fighting for their survival. So the Kwarafa Confederacy has been the non-Islamic axis of that area called Northern Nigeria. So the Middle Belt, the Nok civilization, can be regarded as the South Sudan of the North, the South Sudan of Arewa, the South Sudan of Northern Nigeria, or the South Sudan of Nigeria. Because what we currently see, if you go across many of our markets in the Southwest, in the Southeast, in the South, there are many people, displaced people, refugees in their ancestral homeland that are currently in those places and with no hope of going back to their ancestral homeland. I'm not speaking on hearsays. I'm speaking on what I saw when I saw young boys and young girls being used as housemaids, many of them from displaced villages in Plateau, and all of a sudden you are seeing them in places, in many markets like Aleshiloye, Ogunpa, in Ibadan. For many people that are nonchalant, you are going to think it's none of your business. But one thing I can tell you is, what we are seeing in Plateau State is gradually coming into our homeland if we don't raise the alarm. This is not the issue of saying this is the politician problem. Politicians will run away in private jets and leave us alone to these monsters that has been at war with Nigeria, that has been at war with the indigenous people for the past 200 years. Today, I'm speaking once again, I said, on Kaduna State. I've given a general overview of the civilizations we have in the north. Like I said, the Sokoto Caliphate, the Fulani-inspired Afro-Asiatic Islamic civilization, the Kanuri Empire, which is the Kanuri-inspired Afro-Asiatic Islamic civilization, and the Kwarafa Confederacy, which is built on Nok civilization. So what you see, we see in the Middle Belt, it is bigger than East Muslim versus Christian fiasco. If you limit it to Muslim versus Christian fiasco, if you limit it to Muslim versus Christian field, you failed, because it is a Muslim, it is a clash of civilization that was predicted by Professor Huntington in the late 90s, where he said that the war of the 21st century will be the war of civilization. At the crux of the war of the 21st century, it is going to be the war of civilization. So what we have is a clash of civilization. And the Nok civilization must not fall. Those of us in the Oduduwa civilization, we are fighting a civilization war for the past 200 years. If Nok civilization falls, we are going to be the next. Unfortunately, the biggest gift the Sokoto Caliphate ever got was northern Nigeria. The Northern Protectorate handed over to them by the British. We are not here to call out the British. We are talking about the aftermath of imperialism, because all these things affect our lives. And we need to talk about it. When the British were colonizing Nigeria, there was something called the Dua Mandate. The Dua Mandate was what we have in Nigeria. The Dua Mandate gave the British and the Fulanis equal colonial rights as equal colonizers within the Nigerian project. That is why you see the sense of entitlement, the sense of superiority, the arrogance, why some ethnic nationalities get away with killings. Some ethnic nationalities are more than with machine gun, even if they dare complain when being mistreated. The Nigerian Federation is not equal. If anybody says Nigerian Federation is equal, it's a lie. And this did not start under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. This did not start under Buhari. It has always been the foundation of the Nigerian state, which is why many of us are in a state of conundrum, why many of us are in a state of fear. This is why many of our political elites, they start throwing their people under the bus in order to be able, in order to look good in the face of those who call themselves the blue blood in Nigeria. They are just trying to keep everything in check. In fact, to anybody that criticized the so-called Fulani aristocratic hegemony is seen as unpatriotic, even by our fellow Yorubas, even by our fellow Igbos, even by our fellow Ebiras, by our fellow Igales, that are not even part of the Hausa Fulani North. Everybody just believes that some people are more powerful than the rest of us, and we just need to just play along. This is the reality we face in Nigeria. But we need to understand how we got here. Like I said, this is why Chief Obafemi Awolowo was hated. Because Chief Obafemi Awolowo was talking about ethno-linguistic federalism. We found ourselves in Nigeria. Sometimes I can't blame many of our people that are looking for a way to get out of this Nigerian conundrum. It is a bitter truth. What exactly is Nigerian patriotism we're talking about? Where we are now seen as equal. Is this a federation? That's why I said when I look at the Kaduna situation, we have to, when you look at the Kaduna situation, you have tears in your eyes. The reason why Kaduna did not blow up for a long time was that they have been having governors that have been trying to manage the delicate balance. You only need governors like El Rufai before the gates of hell is unleashed against people without political power in that particular state. So let's talk about, like I said, Kaduna again. Kaduna was created by the British. It was not the Sokoto Caliphate. It was not the Emirate of Zauzau that created Kaduna. It was not the Patwa, the Dagi people that created Kaduna city. Kaduna city was a land that belonged to the Dagi people. It was the land of the Dagi people, mostly inhabited by the people of Dagi. It was the Dagi people are an ethnic nationality that occupy that area. Mostly they are found in Abuja. They are the indigenous people in Abuja. They are indigenous people in Niger State, indigenous people in Central Kaduna. So it was the British that created Kaduna city from the scratch. I hope with this conversation, what this exposition today, many of the people that say it's the British that created Lagos, so therefore they have the right to be claiming Lagos. Why are they not saying the same thing to Kaduna? Why are you not saying that it is the British? It is Lord Lugard that created Kaduna, and you start going to Kaduna to go and be claiming claiming equal rights, since it is the British that created Kaduna. So you can go to Kaduna and be claiming equal rights with the indigenous people. You won't try that, because those that are in control of the political structure in Kaduna are going to flush you out. The Hausa Fulani hegemony and aristocrats. So it is not just Lagos where you have influence of colonial.
Please bear with us, everyone, for a moment. Harry will be joining us in a moment, please.
Even Lagos as an entity has been existing for a very, very long time, compared even before the British. The British, when they got to Lagos and they created Lagos colony in 1861, did not meet a bush. They met an existing Yoruba kingdom. An existing Yoruba kingdom. And they took it over. It was different from what you have in Kaduna, where there was nothing. Where there was nothing, and it was created, built from the scratch by the British, with British money from London. The same thing in Egunugu, it was built from the scratch in the 1900s with British money from London. Port Harcourt was built by the British. In fact, the letter where how they got land from the indigenous native to build that city today. Yet the indigenous people control those places and the powers that be. This is just a side, for people that come around and start saying it's the British that built Lagos. No, it's not true. The British built Enugu. The British built Port Harcourt. The British built Kaduna. So what is good for the geese is good for the gander. So Kaduna, like I said, is roughly divided between Muslims and Christians. That's why I said Kaduna is a microcosm of the Nigerian state. It is roughly built between Muslims and Christians. Muslim in the north, Christians in the south. Now, this is one of the problems that Chief Obafemi Awolowo have with Nigerian states. How do you know now? What are the ethnicities? I've been talking about the Hausa Fulanis and there's absolutely nothing called Hausa Fulanis. The Hausa people are the indigenous people of those areas called Zauzau, Zaria, all those areas. We know the Queen Amina of Zaria, who was a prominent warrior Hausa woman, an heroine that led the Zaria kingdom for many years. But after the conquest of the Hausa city-states, that is where the political ethnicity called Hausa Fulani started to emerge. Because it is nothing but Fulani people being conquered by the Hausa people being conquered by the Fulani impostors, by being conquered by the Fulani invaders. Now, I'm not here to speak down on the conquest of the Fulanis or the conquest of the Fulanis and how they conquered the Hausa people. No, that's none of my business. Because if you look at the history of the world is built on conquest, subjugation, revolt, rebellion, people empire rising and empire falling, which is why the Yoruba people must understand that the world is not a fair game. Nigeria is not a fair game. Nigeria is a ruthless place. The reason why many people are now getting conscious of what Nigeria is because of social media. We can see what is happening in the Middle Belt. We can see what is happening to the people of Southern Kaduna. We can see what is happening to the people of Sudan. So we understand, people can see firsthand. Information is traveling faster. People can see things for what it is. So in the Southern Kaduna, you have ethnicities like the Bagi, you have Atwap, you have Atwap, we have different ethnicities, different minorities in Southern Kaduna. And Southern Kaduna has almost, as at 2016, 2017, has almost 5 million people. Almost 5 million people live in Southern Kaduna, almost 4.8, 4.5 million people. In the other parts, it is almost 6 million. So the population of Northern Kaduna and Southern Kaduna is almost the same. And Southern Kaduna has 11 to 12 local governments. Kaduna on its own has 23 local governments. So you can see that in terms of local government, Northern Kaduna and Southern Kaduna have equal power. So what you're supposed to have in Northern Kaduna, so you can see that it's almost equal. Like I said, the Kaduna city was created by the British. And that Kaduna city was the capital of the northern region where Ahmadu Bello ruled from. You can see that the British has been you can see that the Fulanis have been one of the biggest beneficiary of Nigeria. That's why Nigeria means a lot to them. That's why you're going to see people that are offering profanity, calling people infidels, calling people kafiri, are still going to write on their bio. They are going to be openly supporting lynching of their fellow Nigerians because of the religious differences. Just like you saw openly many prominent Northerners that were openly supporting the lynching of Deborah. They will even be giving tactic support to Salafist elements, Wahhabis, extremist elements, extremist rhetorics. Yet they are still going to write there that they are patriotic Nigeria because Nigeria has given them what the jihad of Uthman Fodio did not give them. Nigeria gave it to them. The jihad of Uthman Fodio did not give them oil and gas. He did not give them crude oil. He did not give them oil and gas. He did not give them River Benue. He did not give them River Niger. He did not give them seaports. He did not give them access to the seaports in Lagos. The Uthman Fodio jihad did not give them access to the seaport in Ondo State. The Uthman Fodio jihad did not give them access to the seaport in Warri. The River Niger jihad did not give them the access to the seaport in Calabar. The Uthman Fodio jihad did not give them access to the seaports in Akwa Ibom. The Uthman Fodio jihad did not give them that. It is the British imperialism that gave them access to all these things. So how can you now say they should not be patriotic? The Uthman Fodio jihad did not give them to the VAT in Lagos. The Uthman Fodio jihad did not give them the VAT in Rivers State. The Uthman Fodio jihad did not give them the VAT in Ibadan. In fact, they did not even build the capital city of the northern region. They didn't build it with their money. They didn't build it from the scratch. The western region, Ibadan, was built by our forefathers through blood and iron. They fought wars. They built it from the ashes of your empire. They fought with their life depends on it. It was the last empire, the first and only Republican empire in the whole of Africa. We got nothing. It was built by the strength of our ancestors. Go and look at records when the colonial records when the British were living. When the British were leaving, we got the least subsidy from the British government. So everything we built in Nigeria, we did not get any head start. Do not allow any ethnicity to talk down on us. We built it with our sweats. Unlike other regions in Nigeria, yet we are still standing. Yet our leaders are the most persecuted, the most killed, the most pilloried, the most assassinated in the history of Nigeria. Because we need to understand where we are going. Now, going back to the issue where we are coming from, so that we can know where we are going. Let's talk about the issue of Southern Kaduna. Now, Southern Kaduna, that area of Southern Kaduna is the unconquered territory. So like I said, it was the British that did all these things, that gave them access that they will never be able to use war and conquest to get, which is why politics is not just politics to the core northerner, to somebody from the Hausa Fulani area of Nigeria, especially from the northwest and from the Kanuri northeast. It is more than that. They see politics as a means to an end. They see politics through the lens of war conquest. They see politics through the lens of domination. They see politics through the lens of civilization war. They see politics as a way of getting more than they give. They see politics as a means of propagation of religious supremacy. They see politics for what it is. Politics is war without bloodshed. War is politics with bloodshed. It is what it is. They understand all these fundamentals. One like us, who see politics from the position of morality. Meanwhile, there's nothing called morality in the game of power. I don't want to say. I want to choose my words carefully. In a vicious place like Nigeria, it is a bitter truth. If you've not been to the core north, you've not read any books, you are just existing. All your life is from Lekki to Magodo to Ojota to Port Harcourt. Then you have no business understanding talking about the issue of Nigeria. You don't understand the issue of June 12. You've not read about the Biafran War. You have no business talking about the history. You don't know what happened to Chief Obafemi Awolowo. You've not read any of the Yoruba history. You've not understand where you are coming from and how the Yoruba people got into this situation. Then you have no business discussing the issue of Nigeria. Nigeria is beyond what is the price of kuli kuli and gari. Nigeria is beyond what is the price of petrol. Nigeria is beyond is beyond all this nonsense like producer consumer. Nigeria, you need to understand what is this Nigeria. So you're going to understand. When Arewa Consultative Forum leader came out some days ago and said that the Fulani ethnic militias, which they are colorfully calling bandits, should be given amnesty and give him money, just like give him amnesty and give him money, just like you have in the Niger Delta. You are going to understand that he is talking from the position of supremacy, because that is how they feel about Nigeria. That is how, because they believe that Nigeria belongs to them. Now, going back to the issue of Southern Kaduna, because there's a lot of issue that needs to be discussed. And I'm not going to deviate again, and I'm going to be talking about Kaduna specifically. So when you see that Southern Kaduna, those 11 local governments are the unconquered place in Southern Kaduna. They are the unconquered, built on Nok civilization. And they've been fighting non-stop ever since the jihad of 1804 started. But what the Dafodio could not do, the British gave it to them. And when, as if that was not enough, they used the creation of states to be able to cut that area of Southern Kaduna, put it into the northwest. How do you put a people that you did not conquer in your caliphate, you put it under your caliphate? That's exactly what happened. The area called Southern Kaduna used to be slave raiding areas where the emir of Zauzau, especially post the emir is there's a notorious emir, Fulani emir called Kwazau, who used to send slave raiders, slave traders to go in there and capture Achwap people and other minorities in order to be able to sell them, and they will capture slaves. And at a point in time, when they could not conquer the people of southern Kaduna, especially the people of Achwap, they said they must pay jizya tax. What is jizya tax? The jizya tax are tax that people that are regarded as infidels must pay in any Islamic caliphate. The people of southern Kaduna, I'm using that area called southern Kaduna, they still revolted. So there are people that were not conquered through war. That is why immediately the British came. They did two things. Many of them quickly converted to Christianity, and many of them started joining the British, they started joining the military. So you understand, as it is now, if you say they want the Nigerian military is looking for people to join, you don't need to preach to people from Benue, from Nasarawa, Southern Kaduna, Plateau, Taraba to go and join the military, because that has always been what has been saving the people of the people of the North civilization, the people of the Middle Belt since the beginning of Nigeria. They understand the importance of defense. They understand that they know that politically they might never amount to anything within the Nigerian Federation. They are minorities. They don't have money. They don't have hegemony. They don't have the global spread. That once they are in the military, the military, and how powerful the military of Nigeria is, and how influential it is within the Nigerian polity and politics, they can be able to defend the survivor. They can be able to protect the interest of their people. And that's why you see people like Zamani Lekwot, people like Gowon, different. Even there was a mafia called the Lantang Mafia in Plateau State. That was how powerful it was in defending the interest of the Middle Belt within the Nigerian Federation. That was how powerful it was. There was a particular leader, to show you how I'm talking about the Antwerp people. The Antwerp people, his name was Marok Gandu. He was one of the most famous warriors who fought with his own life. He was one of the best warriors the Antwerp people ever had. Before he was captured around 1902. And according to different historical sources, it was some of his people that betrayed him before he was captured by the Hausa Fulani forces from Kwazau. And he was impaled with a spear to his heart. In fact, they said they dressed him like an Hausa man, made him smoke Hausa cigarette and cola nuts, smoke Hausa cigarette and chew cola nuts. And they were mocking him as the Seriki of the Antwerp people before he was killed. Many of the other soldiers and many of the other warriors of the Antwerp people were also burnt alive. So it was like a stalemate. So when you look at the history of Southern Kaduna, the Southern Kaduna people have been fighting for their lives for the past 200 years. They've lost men. This is not the first time that Hausa Fulani elements, Fulani forces are coming into that area of Southern Kaduna to massacre thousands of people in a night. In fact, when the British colonial forces were creating garrisons between Southern Kaduna and Northern Kaduna so that Fulani forces, army, will not be coming into Southern Kaduna in order to be massacring people. Many of the places you see in Northern Kaduna today used to belong to the Dagi, to Antwerp, and other minorities. They had to run down, they fled. That is why Southern Kaduna is heavily populated. heavily populated, because that was what gave them the sanctuary. So when I'm talking, so you can see that we are talking about something that is more than 200 years of struggle. More than, these are things that predate Nigeria. Many of the insecurities that we see within Nigeria that we are currently, this generation is facing, predate the existence of Nigeria. That is why you see every politician will come. Even you see former President General Buhari, who is a Fulani nationalist, always, who is a Fulani nationalist, who promised to come and solve insecurity. For 8 years, he ruled Nigeria. He could not solve the problem of insecurity in Nigeria. That is why I'm saying that anybody saying they are going to solve the problem of insecurity, they are lying. Without we decentralizing Nigerian security system, without us practicing ethno-linguistic federalism, where we are going to localize our problems, whether it's on security and economics, and we are going to be able to solve our problems. Because the reality is that the South cannot solve the problem of the North. The reality that Northerners believe that the South was created for them to loot, plunder. It is not true. It is not what is going to destroy Nigeria if we do not stop it. The South cannot solve the problem of the North. It is the North that will solve their problem for themselves. The Southern Nigeria cannot solve the problem of the North. Southern Nigeria cannot solve the problem of the North. It is true that one of the reasons for the 1914 amalgamation, apart from the geopolitical reasons, like what the Britain were doing all over the world, creating, destroying ethno-linguistic framework and balkanizing ancient African civilization in order to create conundrum and Tower of Babel everywhere across the world, in order to continue to promote chaos so that they can continue to take resources and extract resources from their colonies. That is true. It is also true. It is also true that there were economic reasons. The core North was not economically viable, and they created a South, and that South will continue to provide the human resources. It will continue to provide economic resources. It will continue to provide a brain. It will continue to provide mineral resources. All sorts of resources for the core North to continue to thrive. And that cannot continue if you're a Northerner listening to me, if you're outside Fulani cannot be listening to me. This is not sustainable. One day, all of us are going to answer this Nigerian question. Whether my generation or the generation to come, this is not sustainable. It is not sustainable. We can see that there are questions being asked. Look at the issue of the VAT, where the core North was saying that it will continue to get more than it deserves by feeding fat on the value-added tax of other regions within Nigeria. That is not going to work. There is nowhere we are not going. Nigeria is a federal republic, not a unitary state. I know President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I feel sorry for him, but unfortunately, I supported him for him to solve this Nigerian problem. I supported him to be able to fix this. So we are not going to make excuses for him. We must solve this problem. And we must stop some of our fellow Yorubas who from becoming propagandists and playing politics with the lives of people. We must not allow the worst of us to start playing with the lives, blood, sweat, and death of people on social media. Like we've seen, when some people were saying the killings at that CAC church was high, it must not be allowed to happen again. It must be stopped. People that behave that way must not be allowed to be the voice and the face of the Yoruba people. It doesn't speak for us locally and internationally. We are going to become a pariah. They must be shut down. We must shut them up because we are not a feudal society. Like I was talking about Southern Kaduna, the Southern Kaduna people, they've been fighting for so long. And there was no reason why within the Nigerian Federation that the people, those people that resisted Fulani onslaught, Fulani jihad, Fulani invasion, should now be placed in the same state. It's exactly like what happened in Sudan. The Arabs of Sudan used to invade southern Sudan. So they saw southern Sudan as their slave camp. It was where they captured slaves that is being sold into the Ottoman Empire, into the Ottoman into the Ottoman world. In fact, when the Egyptian Arabs, led by an Albanian, in the person who was the Pasha, the Grand Viceroy of Grand Viceroy of Egypt, which was ordered under the Ottoman Empire, in the person of Muhammad Ali. One of the reasons why he was sponsored, he connived, he collaborated with the British to invade Sudan, and especially invade southern Sudan, was to capture slaves, was to capture black people and use them as slave soldiers. One of the reasons why the Emirates of Zazzau, the Sokoto Caliphate, was invading areas like in the Middle Belt, like southern Kaduna, was to capture slaves and sell them into the Ottoman Empire via the Trans-Saharan slave route, or sell them through the Atlantic slave, through the transatlantic slave route. One of the Sokoto Caliphate was the biggest plantation slave center in Africa, and it was the second biggest plantation slave center in the world. So you see that there's a particular ethnicity that kidnaps people for ransom. They are kidnapping people for ransom. It did not start today. What you see, let me say something controversial, but it's the truth. Many of the people that are being captured today across different places, many of them would have been sold into slavery. Because when they capture people, how you get phone calls to be able to call them and say you are looking for ransom? You're not going to get money to pay for ransom. You're not going to get money to pay for ransom. It is impossible. So what you are going to get is that many of these people will be sold into slavery. That was how Bishop Ajayi Crowther, he wrote it in his memoir, that it was Fulani slave traders, bandits, that kidnapped him and sold him into slavery. But many of you will be like, how is it possible? Because this is what they've been doing for a long time. So you capture somebody, you collect 10 million naira. That's like selling them into slavery. It is ransom. It is ransom. We pray it doesn't turn into organ trade very soon. We pray it doesn't get to that. Because this is it's not an aid trade, but this is a repetitive, and it is an act of war. It is an act of medieval war tactics. You can go back into history. Capturing people, kidnapping farmers, kidnapping traders of your enemy, using them for ransom, or selling them as slaves, or extorting their goods, extorting them, is an act of ancient warfare. It is what I know. Many of the Yoruba city state also, it is what I know. So what you see, where people are being kidnapped by one ethnicity across the 36 states of Nigeria, is an act of warfare, is a psychological warfare, an asymmetric warfare, so that everybody is brought to their knees within Nigeria. So the people of Southern Kaduna have been fighting. So when Chief Obafemi Awolowo said, let us have ethno-linguistic federalism, if sane people and listen to him, the people of Southern Kaduna will not be in Kaduna today. They would never witness the horrors they witnessed under El Rufai. And let me now go further. What they've been doing in southern Kaduna, in Kaduna State, is to be having a Muslim governor, a Christian governor, a Christian deputy governor. And from my initial explanation about southern Kaduna and northern Kaduna, if you are a Muslim and you are from Yoruba land, if you are a Christian, you are from Yoruba land, do not compare your Islam or your Christianity with the people in the Northwest. It is a different ball game. Religion over there is a matter of life and death. Being a Christian, being a Muslim, determines whether they are going to live or die, whether they are going to be powerful or weak, whether they are going to be a billionaire or not, whether they are going to get access to power or not. Forget the cosmetics. This is the bitter truth. You cannot be a Muslim and say you want to become the governor of Plateau State. You cannot be a Muslim and say you want to become the governor of Benue State. You cannot be a Muslim and say you want to become the governor of Taraba State. It's impossible. You go to Adamawa State, if you're a Fulani, they will not allow you to become the governor. You go to Kaduna State, if you're a Christian, they will not allow you to become the governor. So these are the issues. So you look at religion and ethnicity is power in those places. That's why I told you that before the British colonialists, at a point in time, some places in the Middle Belt were paying jizya tax, which is the taxes paid by the infidels to the conquering caliphate forces, which was the Sokoto Caliphate. When they won, when they finally rebelled, they stopped paying jizya tax. So you can understand where they are coming from. So when they had the opportunity of becoming Christians, they became Christianity in the North is a form of resistance. Christianity in the Middle Belt is a form of rebellion against the Sokoto, against the Fulani hegemony. The Christianity in the North is a war for survival. So when they want to, they know that if they say, oh, they look at the issue of Darfur, when the black people in Darfur, who are also Muslims, when they were trying to tell the whole world, they said, oh, the Arabs are killing we black people in Darfur. Nobody paid attention. For the past 40 to 50 years, the Arab people have been wiping out indigenous people in Darfur, stealing their gold, taking over their lands, and nobody gives a damn. That's why I said I do not give a damn about people who will keep quiet about the killings in Middle Belt. They will keep quiet killings in Kwara. They will keep quiet about killings in Kogi. They will keep quiet about killings in southern Kaduna, and they will be carrying the Palestinian flag. Other than that, it is a lie. They are all miscreants. They are all liars. They are all performative activists. We need to tell ourselves the truth. They are all religious fundamentalists, or they are just ignorant geopolitically. I'm not justifying the issue of Palestine. I'm not justifying the killings in Palestine. It's a crime against humanity. But charity begins at home, Africans. People cannot be massacred in Congo, massacred in Somalia, massacred in Kogi, massacred in Niger, massacred in Mali, massacred in Burkina Faso, massacred in Zamfara. You don't give a damn. In fact, you're even planning for Dirty December. But the only time you start getting unnecessarily angry is the issue of Palestine on social media. We know who you are. You're a fraudster. You're a fraudster. or you are just somebody that is, I call it perforative. I called it performative activism. So let's go further. So the issue, people of Southern Kaduna. Now let's go into the Fourth Republic. Before going to the Fourth Republic, I would like to quickly talk about the issue of Sango Kataf. I'm trying to pick several issues. The issue of Sango Kataf. Sango, when you say Zango, Sango, like you have Sango in Ibadan. It is an Hausa word, Zango, where Hausa people, like Sabo, like where they used to stay, where Hausa traders used to settle. You go to places in Ghana, so you have a Zango. So that is where they stay. And it was initially the Achwap king that gave the Hausa traders, settlers, to settle in that place. So it is that area is within it is on Achwap land. So Nigeria happened, and over time, the Hausa people started to claim sovereignty over those lands. And even the emir of Zazzau was now trying to exercise control by saying that the Hausa settlers in those lands, in Southern Kaduna, deep in Southern Kaduna, do not report to the Achwap king, but to him. Now let's fast forward. The crisis started brewing under the reign of General Ibrahim Babangida. Now, for those of you that do not understand history, many of the people of Southern Kaduna, especially many in the Middle Belt, used to be anywhere Awolowo goes is where they go. So in the Third Republic under MKO, many of them they voted for SDP. So in the First Republic, it was just a little bit in the Second Republic that there was a little bit political shift where the Middle Belt leaders were not on the side of Awolowo. But if you look at the history of Nigeria, the Middle Belt bloc has always been in political alliance with the Southwest. They call it progressive politics. It is just in this during this time from 2015 that things are changing. Things changed, and which is causing a lot of political complexity that we currently witness. I'm not going to go into that place. So the chairman of the local government of Sango Kataf said the people should, he said they wanted to relocate the market. So just imagine Yoruba people say they want to relocate Computer Village into another place, and the Igbos are carrying out AK-47. And they started attacking and killing Yoruba people. That was exactly what happened in Sango Kataf. And one of the things that even happened was that they said one of the things that led to the rise in tension was that the Hausa and Fulani settlers were telling the indigenous people that they cannot eat pork, they cannot drink beer. So that place, they were even telling them they cannot, how the indigenous people can live their life. So that is where tension started boiling. During 1992, the Secretary of the Christian Association of Nigeria Kaduna State, was killed. Hundreds of people were killed. And a lot of leaders in southern Kaduna and the Middle Belt, they had a lot of powerful people in the military, generals, colonels, and one of them was Zamani Lekwot. General Zamani Lekwot was like, no. And General Zamani Lekwot was a former governor of Rivers State. So when we're talking about powerful people, he was very, very powerful. So he was a former governor. He was a general that fought for the unity of Nigeria, that fought in the Biafran War. I'm going to say something, and I'm going to say it on here, because a lot of our people need to understand what is going on. When you see us come out on some of our fellow, when you see us shout, even though we supported Tinubu for presidency, we are doing it because of two things: posterity's sake, and we don't want him to get too comfortable with the demonic forces in Nassau Rock that is going to forget why he went there. Because the presidency of Tinubu will determine if this country will go to war in the next 50 years or not. What it does in the next 8 years. And we don't want war. Because it is all, we can all see it. The entire West Africa is collapsing. ECOWAS is almost becoming a carcass. Guinea-Bissau is gone. Guinea is gone. Mali is gone. We can count the number. We can count the number of coup d'etats in West Africa in the past 4 years. Guinea-Bissau, Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso. 5 ECOWAS states are currently under military dictatorship. So what exactly are we talking about? And we have states like Togo, where it is just one family that has been ruling that place for many, many years. We have so many unstable countries across West Africa. Sierra Leone and Liberia is just getting on their feet. So we are in trouble. The only democracy I know can be able to withstand all this is Ghana. Because Ghana, as one way or the other, has been able to be stable compared to the rest of us. So going back to the issue of Zamani Lekwot. Zamani Lekwot was sentenced to death by IBB, and the chief court, the justice that was used was Justice Okadibo. The judge, it was Justice Okadibo that sentenced that General Zamani Lekwot and others to death. Now, do you know the funniest thing? That's why when people like IBP, when they talk about Nigeria, some of us, many of these past military head of states, they destroyed Nigeria. So that's why sometimes we don't understand the performative reference we give to people that destroyed this country. IBP sentenced Zamani Lekwot to death. Someone that fought for Nigeria's independence, for Nigeria's unity, a former governor of a state in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. What was the sin of Zamani Lekwot? Zamani Lekwot and Southern Kaduna leaders were sentenced to death. People that spoke up and say, why is the federal government siding the Hausa Fulanis in the killing of our people? In fact, the Zala Islamic group wrote a letter asking the Sokoto Caliphate, the Sultan of Sokoto, to give them more logistics to declare full jihad on the people of Southern Kaduna in 1992. That was the Sango Katam crisis. Close to thousands of people died. And when that issue happened, innocent Christians, moderate Muslims in Kaduna Central, in the capital city, were also massacred. This was in 1992. It was Abacha that came in and stopped Zamani Lekwot from being executed. and released him. That's why till today, and one of the reasons, if you read so many correspondence articles about the Sango Kanta crisis, not a single Fulani or Hausa leader or active participant was sentenced to just 1 day in prison. But top military generals, leaders, activists from southern Kaduna were sentenced to death. It is not different from what we have in southern Sudan and what we have in Sudan, where you are going to see Arab bandits, nomadic Arab bandits, terrorists, the Bagara Arabs, who massacred, raped, and killed millions of people. And after that, they were given amnesty by the Central Sudanese government in Khartoum. Not only that, they were now a new military. It's just like you now said, oh, we want you to stop the killings. We want Fulani people to stop the killings in Nigeria. We want the Fulani militias called bandit to stop the killings in Nigeria. We will now create a forest rangers for them. Oh, okay, this Fulani that will now be monitoring our forest. That was exactly what they did for them in Sudan. What was done for the nomadic Arabs that were killing indigenous black people in Darfur and Sudan and South Sudan. They created RSF. And that was how a bandit leader, a terrorist in the name of General Emeti Dagolo, who was never in the army, was given the position of a brigadier general before being promoted to a full general. And that is what you see there in Sudan. That's why I'm sorry to say this, I have a pity for black people. I have pity for innocent people being killed in Sudan. But I have no pity for the political elite in Sudan. They created that mess in Sudan. They empowered killers because the killers were killing indigenous people, stealing their lands and gold. Now they've turned guns against each other. So you need to understand fundamentals and basis of many of these crises. So that was the issue of Zamani Lekwa, General Zamani Lekwa. May God continue to be with him, because those are the people that refuse to continue to support the survival of their people. That is why that area of Southern Kaduna, the 11 local government, is one of the most economically deprived, underdeveloped places under the surface of the earth and in Nigeria. And that's why we are so grateful for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for giving them a federal university. Because universities are key to any human development. Cambridge University alone gives £35 billion to United Kingdom every year. The Cambridge University generates £35 billion to the United Kingdom every year. That is what Cambridge University brings into the coffers of the United Kingdom. So when you have a university, it is more than that. There are some areas in Nigeria where, I'm sorry to say this, especially in the north, the Fulani, hegemony, and aristocrats refuse, and their counterparts are doing the same nonsense in the northeast, prevented indigenous people from having key institutions like universities. Like what they are doing to our people, they did to our people in Kogi West, they did to our people in Kwara South. Intentionally underdevelop a place. It is colonialism. You intentionally underdevelop a place in order to weaponize poverty and keep them in a position of subjugation. In order to control a people, you must underdevelop it. You cannot develop a space and continue and think they are going to be great. Educating any race, educating any group is one of the keys to their liberation and empowering them. There are the three greatest war societies in the world. In most human civilization, the Aztec, the Prussians, and the Spartans. Those were the three greatest war civilizations. But those three great world civilizations had three things in common. Education was compulsory for everybody born in that society. Everybody was educated. They made it was mass education of the people. Education, because they were war society. They are one of the most organized, most disciplined, most advanced, most militaristic civilization. You cannot conquer such a civilization. That was why in the entire North and Central America and South America, before the advent of the Europeans with superior gun power, Aztec Empire was never conquered. Prussia was never conquered. It was after the Second World War that Prussia was dismantled and destroyed. The Spartans the Spartans just melted. They were never conquered. It was after they still gave rise. It gave rise to the Greek Empire. And that was where Chief Obafemi Awolowo ensured that there was mass education of the Yoruba people, which is why we are the most sophisticated and advanced civilization in post-colonial Africa, most post-colonial West Africa currently in that West African coast. That is why nobody can be compared to the foundation and the head start that Awolowo gave us. The rest of Nigeria that refused to do it because it was their leaders that intentionally refused to do it because of the nature of the kind of society they want to run. Many of us look at the corn nut and say the corn nut is poor. The corn nut is not poor. The corn nut was artificially configured to be poor by its ruling feudal elites. And there's nothing you're going to change it. You can, except you want to go and put people like Fashola, Sanwo-Olu, Seyi Makinde to go and become their governors. It cannot. Look at the mindset of the son of Atiku. When the son of Atiku came to the public and said, the coastal road in the south must be stopped and the money should be used to take care of insecurity in the north. Just look at the mindset. That's a feudal mindset. You must destroy the south. You must impede the south from becoming great. You must destroy the economic liberation of the south so that they can be used to treat the cancer they created in the north for themselves. That's how they think. That's how feudalists think. It's a feudal and aristocratic society. And look, Russia has been a feudal and aristocratic society for the past 500, 600 years. Turkmenistan has been a feudal society for the past 500, 600 years. Don't think because you're in Nigeria, all of a sudden the Northwest, especially the core North, the Northwest, is not going to stop feudalism. No, that was what Chief Obafemi Awolowo said in his book, that the feudalism in the core North, if you are not careful, is going to spread into the north, into the south. That's how we see that some of our young political bloggers, propagandists, the way they behave so arrogantly, the arrogance in young minds amongst Yoruba people. When they become SSA, they become special assistant, they become chairman, they start talking as if they are God. They start talking then as if we must start licking their boots. You saw Dino Melaye coming on social media when thousands of his people are being killed by Fulani ethnic militias. When the country is on flame, he is coming to show us his latest watch on social media because he's a feudalist. So the people of Southern Kaduna have been fighting for a long time. And where things now got messy, I'm going to wrap up in the next 10 minutes. The moderator, the host are already messaging me. There's a lot to say. In the Fourth Republic, in 1999 and 2003, that was when the issue of Sharia started. And Islamic Puritans in the Connaught started to push for Sharia in a state like Kaduna State. Thousands of people lost their lives, thousands, and nobody was punished for this because they wanted to impose Sharia on the rest, on the states. And the Christians in Kaduna were saying, no, the Constitution of Nigeria said it's a secular country. How are you now going to impose Sharia on me? This was what our forefathers fought bloody wars against. They fought bloody wars against it. They refused to pay jizya tax to the emir of Zazzau. Why are you now doing what you could not conquer do through war? You want to do it through politics. That's exactly what they wanted to do. And hell let loose. Thousands and thousands of people perished. And they still enforced the Sharia law on Kaduna. And they said, oh, the Sharia law will be for northern Kaduna. It's not going to apply for the issue for the people of southern Kaduna. And they now did a kind of a graveyard agreement. Muslims will be permanently governors. Christians will be permanently deputy governors. When El-Rufai came, he destroyed the entire platform. I said, what kind of nonsense is this? Who are these infidels to be they must not be given political representation. That was the pattern of Sudan. They believe they've been able to get so much political power, and they are going to use some Muslims in southern Kaduna, and they are going to run a Muslim ticket. That's why some of us understood this reality, that a lot of Christians, mostly from the Middle Belt, that spoke and fought against Tinubu's emergence as the president of Nigeria. They knew what they are talking about. That they are never going to accept a Muslim, because that was what El-Rufai was caught saying on camera. That they've tried it and was mocking Khan, Christian Association of Nigeria, a sitting governor, someone that said that is aspiring that he might become the president of Nigeria. That they've tried it in Kaduna, they will now go and try. They've tried it at the federal 14, 16, 18, 20 years, that the Christians will be shut down. Now, I'm not defending Christians, but I'm telling you how Sudan happened and how Nigeria is driving, we are catwalking into the Sudan situation. Sudan did not happen in a year. South Sudan 4 did not happen in 2 years. It doesn't matter. Some people, it might take 300, 500 years for some people to get to Sudan. It can take some countries to get to Yugoslavia and Sudan in 30, 40 years. But one way or the other, we are going to the same bus stop. Nigeria is going towards Sudan because of fundamentalist and extremist elements in our midst. There are 2 types of Islamist fundamentalists in Nigeria. We must pay attention. Some people, they've been told, those who subscribe, that's why you see that even many Arab countries, they've banned Islamic Brotherhood. There's so many people who believe that democracy can be weaponized in order to take over power for their own political goals. So people like Sonny Yerima, we've seen what El-Rufai did. We've heard the videos of Pantami. What he said, it's not news. We heard him when he was praising Al-Qaeda, Taliban, and all this, declaring war on Christians in the same north. So you have to understand that this is the situation we find ourselves. So some people believe in going through the political route in order to be able to propagate and enforce their medieval and parochial belief on the rest of the rest of us. Why people like Shekau, Mohammed Yusuf, people Iswap, they've taken up guns and ammunitions in order to be able to pursue the same goals. So What is happening in Sudan, in Kaduna, and you see that at every slight instance that they want to do state creation, the people of Southern Kaduna are always saying, please create our state for us or take us out of Southern Kaduna. Take us out of Kaduna State. They don't want to be there anymore. They are enforcing their own form of self-determination within Nigeria, within the Nigerian Federation. But the reality is, without any form of state police, where the indigenous people are going to protect themselves, there is never going to be peace in Nigeria. The people of thief people, they've been from Benue, they were the biggest bulwark fighting against Fulani hegemony. In the First Republic, they were one of the best foot soldiers, intellectuals of the Middle Belt nationalism. They got Benue State, at least they gave them a form of political sanity. But did has Benue State been able to solve their problems? They are still being killed by these elements that they are running away from. The elements that their fathers fought and defeated at the Battle of Ushongo Hills. These are the issues. So I've spoken about the problem. Now, what is the solution? Is it all gloom and doom? Is it all doom? No. Nigeria needs devolution of power, ethno-linguistic federalism, and secularism of Nigerian states. If not, we are going to be producing terrorist organization as if we are producing cars from a car company. Because it's an ideological war. There is no state in Nigeria that must be allowed to infuse, to adopt state religion. It should never be allowed. It should never be allowed. Nigeria has no business sponsoring religion. How can we be multi-ethnic and we are sponsoring religion, for God's sake? How can we be ethnically diverse and we are sponsoring religion, for God's sake? Why should we allow a minority to weaponize religion against the rest of us? What are we afraid of? We need to have some deep conversations about Nigeria. That's the reality. There needs to be ethno-linguistic federalism. The Christians in Southern Borno, Southern Kaduna, Southern Gombe, it has been proven that they cannot be protected when they do not have political power. So what exactly are we doing? What evil are we supporting? By supporting this unjust system to keep them there, the Yoruba people of Kwara have no business in the north, in anything called north. Well, how do you think the Yorubas of Kwara and Kogi will feel? They will be weeping. We can see them talking on the internet, the social media. They saw their counterparts, their brothers and sisters in the 6 southwest states, planning for their own defense and survival within the Nigerian Federation. Meanwhile, they have no form of defense in Kogi and Kwara. The nonsense we are seeing is how they are going to obliterate Afonja's name and replace it with Halimi. That's what it is, conquest that we see in the core north. We see in Kwara and Kogi. I'm not here to speak. Sometimes I'm here so that we can learn from the case issue of the minority. I'm not their lawyer. The Yoruba people and what is happening to the Yoruba people in Kogi and Kwara states. You cannot afford, as indigenous people, not to have political control over your politics in your ancestral homeland in a country like Nigeria, where you have ethnic nations with imperial mindsets, like the Fulanis, like the Igbos. You will be annihilated. They will exterminate you. Someone said I mentioned the Igbos. Yeah, I don't hate the Igbos. Until the Igbos stick to Ala Igbo Republic, I have no problem with them. But they're going about during the Biafran Republic, you are talking about the Calabar or Akwa Ibom. That is expansionism. That's expansionism in the 21st century. Akwa Ibom and Cross River is bigger than the entire Southeast. Almost. These people are close to 10 million in population with unlimited oil and gas reserve, good land for agriculture. So why should they join you for anything? You want them to jump from frying pan to fire? No. So Nigeria can avert this disaster of Sudan. We must enforce secularism and have a political arrangement where even the smallest of the smallest minorities will not be consumed by ethnicities with imperial with imperial orientation within Nigeria. May Olodumare continue to bless the entire Yoruba race. May God bring peace to our country, Nigeria. May TYF, God continue to bless the entire members and executives and members of TYF working around the clock every day. And may God continue to bless all of us watching us all across the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Are. Thank you for that in-depth case study. I know I said earlier, like 15 years, but you went pre-colonial, colonial, and post-colonial. Before we go into Q&A, I hope my co-hosts and the moderators on space are getting everyone ready on the stage and also on WhatsApp to be able to transition into that section. But before we go into that, I just want to say, because when we're talking about this, I was focused on that aspect I said 15 years. So I want you to go in depth now regarding where the transition, I'm talking about the governor of Kaduna, where he completely changed the entire agreement, the transition into that. What was going on before that and what went on into that? Because you've already mentioned it, but I want you to go into depth and the consequences of all the things he did and how he set them back and what the people are facing and are currently facing right now in depth before we go to Q&A.
Can you repeat your question, please?
All right, so you've talked about the governor, the El Rufai, who became the governor of Kaduna, and how he completely switched things around with difference to what was agreed in the Fourth Republic, how it completely switched things around. So when I started off this session, I was talking about us going in depth into that transition that completely took things to a different direction.
Okay,
and
okay.
You did talk about it. You did talk about it, but I want you to go in depth because I want you to emphasize on what transpired within 5 years before they entered that era where he became governor and what he did in depth in that era and the consequences and how he set the state back and what the people have faced and what they are facing now and what they need to change to, to try to progress.
Okay, thank you very much. The issue of Southern Kaduna started during the time of Namadi Sambo. Now, Namadi Sambo was the former governor of Kaduna who left Kaduna, who was chosen to become the vice presidential candidate of former President Goodluck Jonathan after the death of Yaradua. What now happened was that the deputy governor to Namadi Sambo was a Christian from Southern Kaduna. So, because of constitutional reasons, he became the governor of Kaduna State. That was Patrick Yakowa. Now, Patrick Yakowa became the first Christian governor in a northwest state that believe that they are the caliphate. They are Muslim, they are Islam first, political Islamists. So I don't want to say some things on here Patrick Yakowa died in a plane crash, mysteriously. And people can fact check what I'm saying. The day Patrick Yakowa died in this plane crash, the first Christian governor in the Northwest that came from the southern part of Kaduna, after he died, many youths from northern Kaduna started dancing and celebrating. They saw it as a form of victory over the infidel, because the ideology, the kind of ideology you have from the Northwest is that there's a fusion of the state and the religion. So that's why I said, until we solve the problem of the Northwest, we are not moving forward. It's one of the problems Nigeria needs to solve. The issue is that when we say, oh, just leave them alone, the problem is that they are not, we are leaving them alone, but they are not leaving us alone. They are spreading their cancer and their madness all over the country. Many of us would not have had any problem with the Northwest if the Fulani ethnic militias are killing them in Zamfara, killing them in Zamfara, Katsina, limiting their madness in Yobe, and they are not affecting us in Oyo, in Kwara, in Kogi, in Edo, in Osun. We don't have a problem. Just once you keep that madness there, you have no problem. The reason why many people in the South have been able to, are no longer perturbed by the issue of ISWAP or Boko Haram is because the bombings are no longer, and the killings is no longer in Kogi or Abuja or all those places anymore. When the killings, when the bombings was happening day after day against Southerners in Sabongeri, in Kano, in Bagolada, in Abuja, in Christian dominated areas in Niger State, that was the reason why there was a national conference convened by Jonathan, even though it was hijacked by certain elements with imperial mindset in the South. I'm not going to go there. So the issue now is that the escalation of this cancer is why many people are now saying we have a problem. We need state police. The meaning of state police is that indigenous people want to protect themselves. That was why when I saw a particular person called Woye who started writing jargons and giving state police a different interpretation. It's like, what's going on? Many of us understand state police. We've seen United Kingdom, we've seen Germany, we've seen Austria. We've traveled to many of these countries. We've seen what state police is. Many people in America understand what state police is. So why exactly are you trying to bastardize state police? We are talking about our life. You are talking about you are politicizing it so that your northern friends, your northern friends who do not give a damn about you, we look happy. No. Because that was what got us here within Nigeria. Many of our politicians go to Abuja to go and make friends and start making political decisions based on the friends that they have in Abuja, not on what is going to save the lives of their people, which is why people are saying politics is local. Make the states more competitive so that states are going to provide electricity, railway, water, security, control education, so that nobody even talks about the center. Because when you have a centralized system in a multi-ethnic, multi-religious society like Nigeria, diverse, we have no shared history, no shared identity. The only thing we have is shared colonialism. And you're running a centralized unitary system of government. We are not going to have a country. What we are going to have is a Tower of Babel where we are going to be killing each other. I did not say that. It was Chief Obama that said that. Now, going back to the issue of Kaduna, after the death of Yakowa, some people made up their mind that Never will they ever allow Christians to emerge, whether directly or indirectly, to become a governor of any state in the Northwest. It's a sacrilege. To them, it's blasphemy, according to their warped thinking, warped ideology in a supposedly secular country. And these people come around and tell us they are patriotic, and they are so power hungry. Tinubu has just spent 2 years in president, in government, and they're already planning coup d'etat. They're already saying terrible things. They're already planning now to destroy him. That's how dangerous they are. Because to them, the Muslim ticket should be war against the infidels. Who are the infidels? Moderate Muslims. Now I keep on saying moderate Muslims. Yeah, moderate Muslims, because moderate Muslims, Christians, animists, atheists should be declared apostates within Nigeria. But they refuse to do that. So they are going to turn his government upside down. And that's why we are telling many of our political elites, this is not Lagos. The politics of Nigeria is not Lagos. Don't go there and say you can buy up anybody. No. These are ideological problems. We pray even for the life of our president every day. He knows the risk. That's why you don't see he refused to travel to South Africa. So that's why now, when they wanted to prevent another Patrick Yakowa from emerging. So in order to prevent another Patrick Yakowa from emerging, so they are running a Muslim ticket in Kaduna State. So Nima Tamati run a Muslim ticket, using the power of the state to crush opposition. And that's why you saw that the current governor, Uba Sani, is trying to do some rigmarole. He's trying to do peace meeting. Let us all come together. No, that's not the solution to Kaduna issue. The solution of Kaduna issue is Kaduna must be broken. Take the Christians in Southern Kaduna. Southern Kaduna must be out of Kaduna for their survival. Or else we are going to have a Darfur on our hands. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Ari. Thank you very much. I believe we have some people to speak now on the space. So I'm going to add Babakar to join us now.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ari, for the nice and wonderful presentation. We have Dr. Croc who wants to speak to us now. Dr. Croc, can you hear me? You want to ask questions? Go ahead, please.
We can't hear him, sir. Sorry, sir. We can't hear him.
Can you try to speak louder?
Can I go ahead?
Yes.
Yes.
Go ahead. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes.
Hold on. Ari, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Go ahead, Mr. Dr. Croc.
All right, okay. The last speaker that spoke, I would like you to please speak about. Am I audible, please?
Yeah, we hear you. Go ahead.
All right. The separation of how Katsina State was carved out of Kaduna. I don't know if you have any knowledge about that. I only found that recently because of religious difference, and the state were divided into two. Kaduna was predominantly Christian, and please, if I would like you to speak deeply about that. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Well, Kaduna State was broken into two because of two reasons. 2 to 3 reasons. Historical reasons and hegemonic reasons. I want to choose my words carefully, because what we are discussing here will be here for a long time. So mo fẹ́ choose ọ̀rọ̀ mi ká má bàa ṣe ọ̀rọ̀ sọ. Katsina is one of the original Hausa city-states. Sherry, the way the Connaughts operates, they are ideologically intelligent. They are ideologically in sync. They know what they are talking. They know what they are doing. Our la monta and she. The Connaught knows what it is doing. And what is the Connaught doing? they are making sure that even within Nigeria Federation, their civilization is intact. So Katsina is one of the original Hausa city-states. So they created the state called Katsina in order to be able to keep their structure intact. Now, but there is an agenda. I told you last week, is it last week or 2 weeks ago, I spoke about ethnicities with imperial mindsets. And I said the Fulanis and the Igbos are part of them. The Igbos were not like that before. But from the beginning, emergence of Azikwe, it transformed the Igbos into an imperial ethnicity. And I also said out of the Yoruba Oduduwa stock, the Oyo people, the Benin people, the Ife stock have imperial mindsets, imperial attributes. There's nothing. We are talking sociologically. So you also look, I told you in Germany, in Europe, we have the Germans, the Russians. This, even if you look at the French were not imperial before the emergence. It was after the emergence of Napoleon Bonaparte. It was Napoleon Bonaparte that transformed the French into an imperial ethnic nation. In fact, it's before the French Revolution. France, as it was a multi-ethnic, multi-linguistic, multi-ethnic country. It was after the revolution that Napoleon Bonaparte emerged, and he was able to use force of arms through war, brute force, and to be able to homogenize France. So the creation of Katsina, that is the reason, that's one of the reasons, for historical reasons. The second thing is like saying that now, so the issue of Katsina is like saying you have Edda states. So if you look at the southwest, or your state, Ekiti State, and Oyo State and Ekiti State are the only ethnic states that we have in the southwest. Let's also go further. So they created Kaduna State. The Kaduna State they created was that it was there's a way the Nigerian military juntas, what they did was they used the American system of redistricting and gerrymandering. Like I said, I've been trying to choose my words, but I'm going to break it down. What they did in the Middle Belt. What they did in the Middle Belt to the people of the Middle Belt was not different from what America did to the black population and the indigenous population in America. So what they did there was they ensured that the black people they were not majority in any states in America. So what black people, if you see most the black people in America, oftentimes they are always producing mayor. So they cannot produce governors because they do not have the population and the demography. In fact, one of the criteria for a state to be created in America it must be 60 to 70% white. Many people don't know this. That is why Hawaii is a state in America, but Puerto Rico and Guam is not a state. Ask yourself, why? Puerto Rico is more closer to America than Hawaii. Why is it not a state? Why is Hawaii a state and Puerto Rico not a state because Puerto Rico is majority Latino. Guam is majority Polynesians, Melanesians. So do you look at the work they did, how they broke Oklahoma into pieces? The creation of states like Delaware and others, they made sure that once the white population is 60-70%, they are going to give them a state. So the same thing they did in the Middle Belt. If you go and look at the map of Nigeria, go and look at Gombe, Bauchi, Borno, Adamawa, you are going to see that most of the non-Hausa Fulani region states, enclave, they are contiguous by land. But by machination, by abracadabra of Nigeria under the military, because I'm very, very sure they were, that was what the Arewa nationalists, because most of these northern military generals were Arewa nationalists hiding under Nigerian patriotism, hiding under Nigerian nationalism to do what they did. That's the bitter truth. So they carved, now you look at southern Gombe, southern Bauchi, southern Borno, southern Kaduna, everywhere is south. Even southern Taraba, southern Nasarawa, all these south are places that Usman Dan Fodio did not conquer. So all those south should have Kwara South. Even you have Kogi South, Kogi West, it's always the south. These were places Usman Dan Fodio never conquered, but they used the weaponized politics in Nigeria. That's why anybody telling you not to participate and pay attention to the political process in a country like Nigeria is looking for your extermination. The Fulanis understand this, the Igbos understand this, the ethnic minorities, they understand this. The Yoruba people are the people that do not understand this, and we almost paid dearly for it in Lagos State. That was how Betty Akeredolu almost turned Ondo State into an Igbo state. That's how people like Adeleke emerged in Osun State, because we did not pay attention to our local politics. Now we are paying attention to our local politics. People like Aregbesola can no longer tell us nonsense anymore, because we know him for who he is, highly incompetent, and someone that came out and said he supports Sharia law in Yoruba land. That's in a secular country. That's a political Islamist. We don't need you in our politics. So the issue of Kaduna was, when they see that people are complaining, they will give them some stipend. They will give them little shock. They will push. That's how the Corn North has been behaving. That's why you cannot meet them halfway. Anybody saying, "Oh, let us meet halfway," because of politics, you are postponing the day of evil. So that's why you see that Benue State, Taraba State, Plateau State, even those states where the indigenous ethnic minority that belong to the Kwarafa Confederacy and the Nok civilization, they are still getting attacked by Fulani militias coming from the northwest. So, because the indigenous people are defenseless, they are defenseless. They don't know how to act. They are impoverished. And many of them are ethnic minorities. They are not like huge nation states like the Yorubas and the Igbos and the Ijaws that can band amongst themselves and fight back and defend their space and dignity and honor within Nigeria. So, I think I've been able to answer that question without saying a lot of controversial things in public.
Yes, I wish you could speak freely on this, honestly, TFY. I wish you could go into details. This space is
Thank you, Are. Thank you very much, Dr. Krog. I know you want to say TYF, not TFY, okay? TYF.
Yeah.
And then,
Before we go to next speaker, sir, I just want to quickly say
okay,
something. Right. So I want to commend the governors of the Southwest for taking action in order to try to work on our security architecture. I also want to beg them and urge them that they need to talk to the leaders in Kogi. I'm talking about the Yoruba leaders in Kogi State and in Kwara State, because it's very disheartening to see our people crying online while they see the Southwest governors taking action on how to protect the Southwest, and they are not safe. I know that they are in a different geopolitical location, but it's very, very saddening and disheartening, and it saddens me to watch them helplessly, not knowing what they need to do. And also, I want to urge them to start talking to their own leaders, because they need to understand that they have to start protecting themselves from the local level. So I know they already have vigilantes. I know they are already using them to the best that they can. But I'm begging our leaders, including our obas, all our leaders across Yoruba land, either the ones that are in government or the ones that are not, they should all please work together and try to safeguard our people in Kogi and Kwara State. And also, we shouldn't forget our people in Edo State and Delta State. Just because nothing is happening there right now doesn't mean we should wait till something happens before we react. So I'm begging our governors, I'm urging them, and all our leaders, all Yoruba leaders, especially the Obas, it's time for you now to please start to work as a collective for the protection and the prevention of all sort of damages or any kind of evil in Yoruba land, because it actually there you to took there. So thank you very much. I'll hand over back to Baba Bakari and Madam Ajoke Ade, so you can continue with your moderation. Thank you.
okay. I think we have one more speaker on the from the Twitter angle from X. Um, good, good work. Am I right? Good work, Adam. Are you there? Good work, Adam. Okay,
Yes, I'm
please,
there.
let's hear from you. Thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Sabagai. Thank you, Ari, for the lecture today. It was really powerful. And I just wanted to thank Dr. Krok. I think he's a middleweight nationalist. Thank you for coming to the space. So my question is, I wanted to ask Ari, what are the implications of Tinubu going ahead supporting the Iowa Consultative Forum suggestion that Tinubu should be giving billions to ISIS and Al-Qaeda terrorists and rehabilitating them into a Nigerian workforce? What are the implications for Nigeria future on our way to Sudan, and what are the implications for the president of the Nigeria? How does it affect us? Is that a solution that is viable? Thank you very much, Ari.
If it's like you are paying terrorists, we are paying terrorists. If he does that, it's simply saying that's the end of Nigeria. Because how will Tinubu tell us that they are paying terrorists, giving them amnesty, and you are jailing Nnamdi Kanu, another IPOB agitators? You understand what I mean?
Yes.
It will be even a form of hypnosis, as if we are under spell for people from the southwest and the south to watch while our resources is used to cater for the Fulani ethnic militias. I'm sorry to say this. Many people that did not even believe in self-determination, many of us will go and join with immediate effect, because there's no likelihood that if we bomb as many places as possible, God forbid, we also get something too and become billionaires. Abi now, it's true now. It's true. So everybody will now go and be arming themselves. It's the bitter truth. So I don't think anybody will, you go and be preaching peace Because what we have observed in Nigeria now is that when two people are fighting, Nigeria only protects bullies and tell the victim to go and cry at home. That's what we're seeing. And that's mean there's a state-sanctioned prevention treatment. We are running an apartheid system of government. That is why Nigeria should have run an ethno-linguistic federal state. Devolution of power, fiscal federalism. If there was devolution of power and fiscal federalism, there would have been nothing called Niger Delta militants. If there was fiscal federalism and ethno-linguistic federalism, where the people of Benue, where the people of Southern Kaduna, the people of Kwara, Yoruba people of Kwara, Yoruba people of Kogi can defend themselves. There is no Fulani man that will be going around and be kidnapping, exterminating, and erasing our people. It is because this structure of Nigeria makes it easy for the country to be captured. Now, some people are saying, these people are minorities. The Tigray people in Ethiopia were just 5% to 6% of the population of Ethiopia. They formed a militant organization, TPLF. They captured Addis Ababa and they ruled Ethiopia for 30 years. If not that, the entire world joined Ethiopia to annihilate and crush TPLF. Around 2001, 2021, 2021, 2022, 2023, Tigray would have declared independence out of Ethiopia. It was the old world that crushed them. They were totally surrounded and blockaded just like Biafra. So these people you see as minorities that have been able to organize themselves for the past 200 years, they are the same people creating chaos in Mali, in Burkina Faso, in Central African Republic. They are also part of the problem in Sudan, part of the problem in Chad. They are creating chaos in Guinea-Bissau. They are creating chaos in Guinea, one ethnicity. And they are always saying, oh, we are persecuted. That's why we need to ask the Fulani leaders, how are you persecuted in Nigeria? What exactly do you want? You conquered the entire indigenous people in the Northwest, took the lands of the Hausa people, and created emirates, killed all their Sarkins, all their governors. You are the ones, all the 7 states in the Northwest, it is only Fulani governors. You created close to 2-3 states for yourself. In Jigawa, in Bauchi, in Gombe. Those are Fulani dominated states. You created 3 states for yourself in the Northeast. You created, and you are the one ruling the 7 states in the Northwest, almost 10 to 9 governors. And you created Lafia. You took the lands of the indigenous people and created Lafia and made that Lafia the capital of Nasarawa State. You did the same thing in Ilorin. You use political Islam to destroy the Oyo Empire. And you've been able to corner resources when you're just 9 to 10% of the population of Ilorin to turn the 90% of the Yoruba people into serfs. And you're still going about, you've ruled this country perpetually. You're a minority of the minority. Your population might not even be a population of the thief people. And the thief people might not be president of Nigeria for the next 300 to 400 years. But you just finished 8 years. You've ruled this country as a military head of states. You've ruled this country as civilian head of states. Everything you want in Nigeria, you get it. You are co-colonizers with the British in this country under the dual mandate. What exactly do you want in Nigeria? What exactly do you want? You created local government for fun. You've stolen and stolen and stolen. And the next thing, you are still killing and kidnapping and ransom. And some of you are saying, that's why I said this issue, we need to properly ask the right question. We are not asking the right question in Nigeria. This is not a Christian-Muslim problem. It is an ethnic problem. Once you mention, oh, Muslims are bad people, the Fulanis will be, these Fulani supremacists will be very, very happy. I'm not generalizing. You saw people like Senator Shehu Sani also calling Fulanis out. He's Fulani himself. But he's sick and tired of what is going on. It's like saying that because of IPOB, we are not generalizing all Igbos. No. There are some extremist fundamentalist elements in the ranks. Who still believe that they believe in that cause. And they've mastered it. That Nigeria will not be at peace until everybody bow to them. It's an asymmetrical warfare. Tinubu is doing well economically. That's why many of us don't give a damn about economy. Restructure this country. Restructure this damn country. Look at the Southwest Development Commission. Out of the 6 development commission in Nigeria, it is only the Yoruba people that are talking about railway, electricity. The rest, the other commissions, they are busy looting it. But give us a system within Nigeria that will be made so that we are going to be immune to the madness from other places. Some of you are talking about let's break Nigeria. The reason why it is so difficult is that you cannot redraw the map of any African country, any map in the world without the consent of the global powers. Our global power don't draw map. It is not you Negroes. I'm also a Negro. I'm telling you the truth. You cannot draw map. You don't have power. It is superpowers that can draw maps. Let me tell you countries that can redraw the map of the world. Lower, China, America, France, Britain, at Russia. Those are the country at United Kingdom, Britain, France, United States, America, at China. Those are the people that can redraw the maps of the world and get away with it. China took half of Mongolia, Mongolia. China took Tibet and got away with it. America broke Colombia into 2 and created Panama because they want to build a canal. America broke Kosovo, took it out of Serbia because they wanted to deal with Serbia and bring Serbia to its knees from being too arrogant. And America said, Kosovo is now hereby declared independence. Many European countries and Western countries did not support America. Later on, they supported America. America came out and said, East Jerusalem and Western Jerusalem, it is now the capital of Israel. Anybody that does not support it, we will deal with you. And the United Nations, almost over 100 countries voted against America. America just vetoed it, 1 vote. After many 4 or 5 years, also protest, one down, one waste here down. Everybody did not fall in line, see, because America they change it, or they change the map. That was what Russia is telling America in Russia, in Ukraine and Georgia. Russia went into Georgia. When Georgia also was saying they want to go and join NATO, they started becoming anti-Russia. And Georgia is in the sphere of influence of Russia. I mean, Russia went into player place, balkanized it, took Abkhazia, South Ossetia, and gave those countries independence. Even though most countries of the world did not recognize it, Russia recognized it. And nobody dare question Russia. nígbà tí wàhálà yẹn gan fẹ́ pọ̀ jù gan Russia tún lọ fún àwọn people yẹn ní Russian passport tí wọn ò bá gba passport yẹn wá gba Russian passport kẹ́ fi travel káàkiri ayé. Russia went into Ukraine, took Luhansk, took Donetsk, took Kherson, took Crimea, Zaporizhia, and we're like, oh, it is against international world order. You are imposing, invading against the sovereignty of Ukraine, blah, blah, blah. Only these are there's no sovereignty when superpowers are talking. Many people did not listen. Ukraine, Russia will be defeated. Just be watching. What happened? One Russian saying, we know you've taken 5 regions, 5 oblasts out of Ukraine. And you're not to Ukraine, stop fighting. Sorry, let us look for peace. That is what the Fulani hegemony and aristocrats want to be doing in Nigeria. They want to be the Russians of Nigeria. And it's not going to happen because the Yoruba people, we are also big boys on this game. In this game. Yoruba people, we have almost 10 states where we have our brothers and sisters. We are majority in 8 states. Minority, indigenous minority in 2, making 10. We are the biggest homogeneous ethnic group in Nigeria. We control the economic power. We have a spread across West Africa. We control the ports. We have the industrial power, the petrochemical power. So we are not going to be doing yes sir for anybody from Sokoto. It's not going to happen. It's never going to happen. That's why some people are saying, for 2020, for 2027, and we are not going to campaign. We are not campaigning. Tinubu is going to be there till 2031. There's no campaign. He's going to be there till 2031. After then, we can talk. Now you come out and say, and we are not here to tell you about Tinubu is competent or not. You must talk like somebody that understands the rule of power. Don't talk like slaves. Because your forefathers fought for this country. You fought for the liberation of Nigeria from British colonialists. You fought for the unity of Nigeria in the Biafran Civil War. Your resources, your brains and power is being used to sustain this country. Now, who made you a third-class citizen? We will ask for what belongs to us. And we will tell the Fulani aristocrats, you cannot shield your criminals. There is no single, apart from Shehu Sani, most of the northern elites are making excuses for Fulani terrorists. And when they come out Sunday go, thank God for fundamental leaders like Wole Soyinka and Yoruba Obas that defended and protected Sunday Igboho. Would have been one man, the crumbs step at the social media. I've never spoken to Sunday Igboho before. I don't know him, but I will not join you to defame him. It's not going to happen. Everybody local protect. You are not using your head. I don't need to like him, but you must understand and see what Nigeria is. If there was security in Nigeria, if Nigeria was properly restructured, Tani State Police, why should people like Sunday Igboho be imagined and be running after Fulani bandits in Okiogo? People don't even talk about the killings of scores and hundreds of our people in Okiogo. They don't talk about it. It is the people fighting because they are enslaved, and many of them are sympathizers because they are Islamists. Oh, they are Islamist. No, we are not. Many of us are Muslims. No, we know what you guys are doing. We knew how you destroyed your empire. Anyway, that is not where we are going today, Sha. So, all bandits of Fulani extraction that are killing Nigerians must be bombed into pieces. If anybody gives them an inch, then we are going to destruction Nigeria. They've killed Nigerian soldiers. They've killed thousands of Nigerian soldiers. So they must pay for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Are.
Thank you so much, Are. Thank you. Before we go to our next speaker, I just want to quickly engage Baba Bakari, Madam Ajokeade. Madam Ajokeade, can you please unmute your mic? Right. So we've been discussing Kaduna lately, and from the in-depth analysis that Are has done, can someone please mute your mic? There's a feedback. Okay. From the in-depth analysis that Are has done, he's talked about how they spread from the south, from the north to the south. And if we look at Kwara, for example, we notice that at first the insurgency was happening in the northern part of Kwara, but now it's spread down to the south. So what I want you guys to discuss now, I'd like you to engage on the situation whereby a lot of Yoruba people do not understand how very important it is that we start looking after the Yoruba that are like a buffer around us, that even though they're not part of our geopolitical zone, they are still the one kind of protecting the Southwest. So what do you think, in your own opinion, from what you've seen so far, sir, Babakari, that we need to emphasize more on to alert Yoruba people, to make them more aware and to get them to be more proactive and a collective so that they can start protecting themselves from grassroots?
Okay, I would like to yield to Madam Ajakari first. Madam, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. And what I notice in most of our people down south, they talk more on yeah, they are Muslims, they are this, they are that, and that is what they subjected themselves to what is happening to them. I think we should actually speak to our people. Our people should know that is not what is happening. I need lots of support. These are our people. Most of the places in Kwara, aside from Ilorin, as we all know, a lot of them are Christians. Aside from being a Christian, Yoruba ni wọ́n, we should not forget that. That it is important. And if you want carve one, see between what carve one, see, it wasn't their doing. They don't want it. Àbí ọmọ Yorùbá mélòó ló fẹ́? Àbí tá a bá wò wọ́n ní Kwara, ṣé wọ́n fẹ́ kí wọ́n yọ àwọn kúrò ní ọ̀dọ̀ àwọn sisters wọn, brothers wọn ni? Àti Kogi náà, same thing apply to Kogi. It wasn't their doing, àwọn kan náà ṣe, so we should really support them. And a lot of our people should stop this way. Because they are Muslim, they put themselves in that situation. That is not the case. Me, I didn't say it like that. It is not like that, and we should stop thinking like that and speaking like that. They need our support. I need lots of support. With any support, security-wise, we just have to show a helping hand to them. We cannot leave them because 2/4. They are, as you said, they are the buffer. I want the fence to one actually to one protect wa. See, fence nearby wo, then we are in big trouble. So God will allow fence here go because they are really in continuous. I believe we don't understand. So we cannot leave them. We have to support them. So I'll stop here. Thank you.
All right, Babakari, please. I'll let you speak now, sir.
Okay, you see, Tabanika wo ọ̀rọ̀ àwọn ará wa nílẹ̀ Kwara àti ní Kogi. It is really unfortunate wípé abára wa níbi tá a lé ní. Ṣé tẹ́lẹ̀ rí ìkankan ní gbogbo wa ibìkan lájọ wà, the same politics, the same everything lájọ ń run together. But as it is now, gbogbo ti yàtọ̀. So síbẹ̀síbẹ̀ náà ìyẹn ò ní ká má ràn án lọ́wọ́, ìyẹn ò ní ká má ràn án lọ́wọ́. A ní láti wá ọgbọ́n tá a máa dá sí ọ̀rọ̀ yẹn ni. Gẹ́gẹ́ bí I think Yorùbá First as an organization, àfìgbà kan fi wọ́n sílẹ̀ lẹ́ẹ̀kankan, a máa ń dìde sí wọn ní òrèkóòrè. Àti dá TYF sílẹ̀ ní Kogi, àti dá sílẹ̀ ní Ìlọrin, àti jẹ́ kó mọ̀ pé we are one, ìkànnì gbogbo wa. Nígbà tí wọ́n attack wọn ní Kwara ńgbà yẹn, TYF náà nìkan ló gbéra tó lọ bẹ̀ náà, tí gómìnà gan ò délùú yẹn. Àwọn aláwọ̀ ìta lọ wá fún wọn ní nǹkan kékeré tí agbára wa ká láti ìwọ̀nba tí Ọlọ́run fèsì tó fi jí kí wa. Wọn náà ṣe fi ń bẹ àwọn Yorùbá wa náà tó kù pé kí wọ́n jọ kán ṣọwọ́ sí wa ní TYF ní ìwọ̀nba tí Ọlọ́run ti fún wọn ní agbára láti ṣe. Gbogbo tọ́rọ́kọ́bọ̀ náà tàbá ti rí náà, níbi tá a máa ń rówó báyìí náà sí. Torí ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ wọn náà ló ń gbà tí wọ́n ní oúnjẹ, tí wọ́n ní kankan tó ti dáná sun lé wọn. Wọ́n tún pa bálẹ̀ wọn gbà yẹn náà. Gbogbo náà la lọ fún oúnjẹ, ta fún láṣọ, ta fún ní gbogbo basic necessities tán nídìí gbà yẹn. Àdúrà dẹ̀ ni pé kí Ọlọ́run máa ran ẹgbẹ́ TYF lọ́wọ́. Torí iṣẹ́ pọ̀ lọ wa gidi gan. Then a dẹ̀ tún ń pàrọwà rán sí àwọn gómìnà wa nílẹ̀ Yorùbá wípé kí wọ́n á fìgbà kan fi àwọn tó kù sílẹ̀ ní òkè ní ìlú Kwara àti Kogi lọ́hùn. Nítorí pé àgùntàn wọn ní àgùntàn ní ohun mi orin abóyìnbóyìn máa ń pa òun yẹn. Mo ti gbàgbé òun yẹn ṣá, ṣùgbọ́n mo try sọ ní pé ìkànnì gbogbo wa ṣé yé ń sìn. Sọ àlùsọ pé torí pé wọn sí ní state South West lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ tó wà yìí, ká ní pé wọn àwọn ìṣe ara wa ni wọ́n. Ọlọ́run á dẹ̀ máa fún wa ní okun àti agbára àti ìmọ̀ àti òye tí a lè máa fi kàn sí wọn ní òrèkóòrè. Àwọn náà kan gba nọ́mbà wa sílẹ̀ náà wà lọ́rùn ló ń lọ lórí ìkànkùnsẹ̀ wa yìí lórí WhatsApp. Ó wà ń bẹ̀ wọ́n lè kàn sí wa ní ìgbàkúùgbà kan bá wa sọ̀rọ̀. Kí wọ́n jọ kí wọ́n máa kàn sí wa, kán máa bá wa sọ̀rọ̀ bí nǹkan ṣe lọ ní ọ̀dọ̀ wọn sí. Sódà táwa bá ti ń gbọ́, a lè máa bá àwọn gómìnà wa àti àwọn aṣojú wa àtàwọn olórí wa ní ilẹ̀ Yorùbá, a máa bá wọn sọ̀rọ̀ pé kí wọ́n jọ kí wọ́n wá bọ́n máa kàn sí àwọn èrò wa ní òkè nílùú Kogi àti Kwara, kí àwọn náà kán má lè jìnnà sí wa. Torí Yorùbá ní pé ẹni tá ò fẹ́ onílé máa ń jìnnà. Ṣùgbọ́n a fẹ́ wọn, a nífẹ̀ẹ́ wọn tọkàntara. Èdè kan a ṣe ń sọ tí Jésù bá padà ní ọjọ́ ìní báyìí sìn, gẹ́gẹ́ bí onígbàgbọ́ tí mo jẹ́, mo mọ̀ pé kò ní wọ́n máa gbó wọn bí ọmọ Yorùbá náà ni wọ́n, torí òun fúnra ẹ̀ ló yàn wọ́n àti Yorùbá láti òde ọ̀run wá. Kí á tó dáyé ló ti fi wọ́n ṣe Yorùbá. So pé wọ́n pín ilẹ̀, wọ́n yálẹ̀, kò lè yà wá. Kí wọ́n jọ kó má jìnnà sí wa ní ìgbàkúgbà, kó máa dúró sí wa, kó máa pàrọwà sí wa, kó máa rọ̀ sí wa. Àwọn náà ṣe kí ni, a máa ṣọwọ́ sí wọn, a dẹ̀ máa fún wọn ní ọgbọ́n àti ìmọ̀ àti òye tí wọ́n lè ta, tí wọ́n fi ní ààbò tí ó péye lórí wọn. Ẹ ṣeun.
I saw a question now.
Okay.
That can people hear me? Am I live?
Yes, I'll go ahead.
Okay. That it's like the focus of Yoruba people on Ilorin is impeding the liberation. Mr. Lekan, one of our wonderful members from America, I saw the question. I was sending it directly on Twitter. That's a very powerful question. Very, very powerful. But I'm going to try and answer. Ilorin is like a dot in the circle. Ilorin is totally surrounded by Yoruba states. Shaki Okeo is far more farther to Lagos than Ilorin. Ilorin súnmọ́lẹ̀ Yorùbá gan o. Ògbómọ̀ṣọ́ to Ilorin is just 15 minutes o. Láti gate ní iwájú Lautech University nílé Ìlọrin road yẹn tẹ́ fi máa drive di ẹyẹ ń kọrin tẹ́ bá gbọ́ ní Gàmbàrí it's just 15 minutes 20 minutes. So you're talking about, in fact, Ìlọrin and Ògbómọ̀ṣọ́ should. Sorry, can somebody mute, please? Host, please, can you help?
What is wrong, sir?
Go ahead.
So Ìlọrin and Ògbómọ̀ṣọ́ should be, in fact, you can form the same economic zone, same mega city. If you want to form mega city, just join Ògbómọ̀ṣọ́ and Ìlọrin together. That's how close they are. From Ògbómọ̀ṣọ́ to Ṣakí, okay, you might spend up to 2.5, 3 hours. Kẹ́ de Ṣakí kẹ́ de Ìgàngán, kẹ́ de gbogbo àwọn extreme yẹn. Kishi is just few distance into the Bariba country, into the Baribas in Benin Republic and in Kwara North. From Kishi to Ilorin is almost 3 hours. So that means Ilorin is closer to other Yoruba spaces than Kishi in Oyo State. Ṣé ọ̀rọ̀ mi ti ń yé?
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni.
So you now have a problem because places like Ilorin does not have border. Ilorin is not contiguous to any any non-Yoruba enclave. Ilorin ò ní land border pẹ̀lú Nupe. What they call Ilorin, I'm talking about Ilorin West. Ilorin West, the Gongongo, and Ilorin South. Even as South of them claim, kò ń ṣe ara wọn, irọ́ ni. There have been many court rulings. There are court rulings, federal high courts, tí àwọn Yorùbá Moro local government àti Asa local government tán ti gbé Emir Ìlọrin lọ sí court pé àwọn ò sí London Emirates, that everything they are doing is illegal. There are court injunctions. Therefore, we just need the right governors to go and implement. It's a bitter truth. That's why we say there's a lot of injustice within Nigeria. The Yoruba people are being dehumanized. Many Yoruba people don't even know. That's why you can never be. Look, when people are subjugating you, let them know. Don't smile to them. You cannot be smiling to people that are decimating your people. When you keep quiet, your oppressors will think that everything is okay. People will respect you. People respect people that face them and say, you are oppressing my people. Why I'm sorry. Why are you want to be doing following this way in the face of subjugation? So the Yoruba people of Jeba, Shao, àwọn ni wọ́n wà ní Northern Elemere, Bode Sadu, Malete, àwọn ni wọ́n wà ní Northern Axis. What they are doing is to try and corrupt the Yoruba political traditional system tó wà láwọn ìlú yẹn kán máa fa àwọn agent wọn síbẹ̀ and turn àwọn ọba aládé kán wá sọ wọ́n di Daudu Mọ́gàjí. That was how they were treating most of Kwara South. Most of the Kwara South, many of you ń pariwo lónìí yẹn, àwọn Awólọ́wọ̀ ló ja ogun Kwara South tí a fi make sure pé gbogbo àwọn gómìnà, àwọn Bolo, àwọn Èkìtì àtàwọn Ọ̀yọ́ tó wà ní Kwara South tó gba political freedom wọn. So why are we calculating? So we are not going to give up on our people on any territory in Moro local government. So ibi tí wàhálà wà nìyẹn, they are a dot in the circle. Dot in the circle ni wọ́n, and they are a minority creating problem for all of us. Bí a ṣe allow àwọn wọ́n ti ní kí n ṣọ́ ọ̀rọ̀ mi bí a ṣe allow àwọn kan ní Èkó kan kó bá wa àwọn àgbà àyà kan kó bá wa ní láti 2023 ní gbogbo 2000 tí wọ́n àjẹ́ káwọn àjòjì kí wọ́n gba ilẹ̀ Èkó mọ́ wa lọ́wọ́ òun náà la ní gbà lọ́rọ̀ Ìlọrin tó bá gbà láwùjọ fún ní problem pẹ̀lú wọn. They are Ìlọrin is Ọ̀yọ́. They can become part of the Southwest. We are all one big family, and they are going to come around and follow up. Ṣùgbọ́n you are not going to say because you want to play the northern hegemony, you are not going to drag Jeba, Shao into your north. I know, it is going to be a fight to finish. It's impossible. I know it's impossible. The Shao people cannot fight with their like they are possessed. Kẹwàá sọ pé because of that, you now hand over Shao to them. Shao people that call office Shao ni. Shao people are doing Ìṣẹ̀ṣe now. It's like many people don't know. Many people more geography Ìlọrin. Many people dey Ìlọrin rí. Many people more local politics tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ ní Ìlọrin. So you don't know what is happening. What you see, táwọn minority ń ṣe ni pé wọ́n ti corner gbogbo resources àtowó. Àwọn náà control politics. That's what they've done. Because we, the Yoruba people, have not, there it is hypnosis. I'm saying it on here. We have no problem with them. We have no problem with our fellow Yorubas. Ṣùgbọ́n pé gbogbo tẹ́ ń ṣe yẹn, ẹ fẹ́ máa claim or not, no problem. Ṣùgbọ́n Ṣàó, Elémèrè, but they will be defended to the last Yoruba man is alive. So that's it. So wọ́n lè kọ́ ọ̀rẹ́ ọ̀rá yọ gbogbo Ìlọrin rándù yẹn kán lọ kó dàbí Kaliningrad kán lọ fún wọn ní north. Ṣùgbọ́n kán lọ sọ pé àwọn affiliate pẹ̀lú north or kán fún wọn ní we don't care. Ṣùgbọ́n àwọn Ògbódò Nroko, Gánmọ́, Ládùbá, Ṣàó, Elémèrè, Mọ̀lété, those are Yoruba land and territory. Wọ́n dẹ̀ sọ pé àwọn they are Yoruba làwọn. Within Nigeria or outside Nigeria, they were always determined to be part of Yoruba land. Why do you think in 1999 kílẹ̀ rò pé níjẹ́ kọ́ Yorùbá bá fẹ́ lọ contest fún president ọmọ Yorùbá yẹn máa ń win ní Kwara State? Ṣé rò pé àwọn ìgbín ìwé ló ń vote níbẹ̀ yẹn ni? Ìwé kọ́ ló ń vote now. It is the indigenous Yoruba people that are voting for their Yoruba people in the West. They are very conscious. But like I said, poverty was intentionally weaponized against our people there. There's so many unknown things. 30 mama of the poverty. I challenge anybody, go online. Go and search for history of Laduba. It is on ìlú ìṣẹ̀ǹbáyé for your empires. Ife, Owu Kingdom. It has been erased from the internet. You will even see it online. You will even see it. How many people know there is a Yoruba local government in Kogi Central called Ogori Magongo? When it was on Yoruba people started TYF, before any people even knew. So the agenda, some these minority troublemakers to wà ní Ìlọrin is not, they are not interested in becoming North. No. One parọ́ ni, one can play Nigerian politics ni. Interface ṣe ni pé kíní madness wọn yẹn, feudalism wọn tó wà ní Ìlọrin yẹn na fẹ́ spread. Political Islamism, minority Fulani will be controlling the rest of Yoruba land is what they still want to do. They still want to, they believe they are the successor to the Oyo Empire. They believe that Oyo Empire, Sokoto should take over the Hausa city states. They're supposed to take over the Yoruba city states. So Ibadan did to them was unforgivable. That is why, it was a brilliant move to make Ibadan the capital of the Western region and a brilliant move to make Ibadan the current capital of the Southwest Development Commission, because that is the base of power. One more pé àwọn bàbá wa ti ró ibẹ̀ yẹn. because that was the successor state to the Oyo Empire. Thank you.
Thank you, Ari. Thank you. I just want to clarify quickly. While I was engaging Baba Bakari earlier and Madam Adokade, the whole point of the emphasis regarding Kwara and Kogi, as well as Edo and Delta, is to remind Yoruba people that those places are the first place of attack and also the first place of defense for Yoruba land. So it's to alert them, to let them know that the Southwest is not just Yoruba land. And the problem is already in Yoruba land. So when we're saying there are a shield around Yoruba land, it's been like that pre-colonial. They've always been the first place of attack and defense. The West is a little bit quiet now due to what Oyo Empire did back in its era. So the western axis is locked quiet, and also it's right beside our siblings in Benin Republic. So the northern axis of Yoruba land and the eastern axis of Yoruba land are very vulnerable, and it's the reason why I was talking to Baba Bakari as well as Madam Ajoke for Yoruba people to understand that the problem is already within Yoruba land, and also we are kind of helpless. The only thing we can do right now is to continue to urge our political leaders as well as our leaders across Yoruba land to look for solution on how to help those people, Yoruba people, our siblings in Kogi, in Kwara, and also to look out for those ones in Edo and Delta State. We don't have to wait for something to happen for us to react. So I don't want this to be misconstrued or misunderstood. We're not saying that those that are around Southwest, like Ibofa, that are expendable. You're not expendable. We're just making it very clear that that is where the attack starts from, and it's already spreading down south. So something needs to be done, and that's why I also insisted earlier that all Yorubas within those spaces where there are issues right now should also start gathering and talking as a community. And you also need to speak up more. We will speak up for you, but when you speak up as well and you start to make demands, because I've already seen quite a bit of Yorubas in Kwara, for instance, asking to be part of the Southwest architecture, security architecture. I noticed that. But when you are more of a collective and you speak louder, we will also join you and speak louder because we want you to have that protection. Not just because we're worried that the problem is going to spread down south, but because you are our siblings and it's very disheartening to see you helpless in that situation. So Baba Bakari wants to say something. So Josa, I'll
Okay.
leave it to you.
All right. Thank you, Madam Beju. You see, I'm very happy that we had success this week from our Southwest governors who came up and set up the what is called the Southwest initiatives. Or do I call it this security network and the security fund? You see, when wars are being won, it's not when you allow wars to come into your house. Okay, you take battle out, to protect yourself. So even if they feel that our Southwest governors feel that this is just for the six states in Southwest, for the fact that we have our people in Kogi and Kwara, it will be the best in our best interest to share security network, information with them. That's why I quickly jotted a few things down. We can enhance security collaboration, within that regional frame, security network. We extend our Southwest initiatives like Amoteco or the proposed Southwest Security Fund, which has been set up to Kogi borders, and those once you Kogi borders, that's this are Yoruba people within that Kogi and Kwara. Because if they are protected, this battle will not come in. This war we are trying to protect from coming will end over there. And our own brothers, indirectly or directly also, will be protected in that way. We have mothers, we have aunties, we have siblings all over because we have the same one blood running in our veins. So if we are able to successfully share network, share securities, share intelligence together with these people, and they exchange with us, definitely for us to be able to get them to be protected will become easy because they too will know when to protect themselves, when to wake up, when to sleep, where not to go, where to go to. These things will help to get them protected, and that's just one of them. We can also provide economic and humanitarian aid to them. Like these are Kogi, Yoruba people, regarding employment. We can help to speak to companies, to investors, to come into these areas, get our people employed, gainfully employed. Understand? We can teach them how to talk to their own governors, then they have to talk to their own House of Rep, their political representatives. We can even help them to push our Yoruba people down in Kogi State to contest for positions, and we'll use our platform to boost their names and their images all over, so that they too can, because if they don't get to those political positions, they won't be able to fight for their people, right? They'll be able to fight for their people, namely whether we have one common enemy now in this matter. So if we're able to get them, to get people who are capable, who has good name that they can sell, understand? Not like the man I referenced previously, who just enjoy going on Twitter, brandishing machine cars, Mercedes Benz, and all kind of vehicles. That's not what political office holders are meant for. That's not what they are meant for. You are meant to use your office to protect your people, either in or out of office. After all, these people's votes got into that office, give you all the work you have made. Then, if you don't add value to them, then what's your usefulness? So we can use that to help them. And also, the very last one, which I'll just speak about, is we can use for we can advocate for political inclusion and restructuring. We can begin to push now for this thing we call the Open State we're looking at. When they begin to move at National Assembly, we can push for that and get them their own state that will now be aligned to Southwest, because these are south areas of Kogi, south areas of Kwara. They can break out from these two states and become part of Southwest. So if we strategically push these things, and use our influence with I've forgotten this name now, that we have relationship with in Southwest here. That is that name just escaped my mind now. We can use those networks that we have already to begin to push and push, because in this life, lobbying matters in politics. And the TYF, kéré nínú ayé now, kéré nínú ayé, ibi tọ́lọ́run ẹ̀rọ alódélé ni, kéré nínú ayé at all. We can use these networks to begin to push gradually for Ogun State, and that may include both these are Yoruba people from both Kogi and Kwara State, so they can become part of Southwest. And then when they're back home, they will feel comfortable, and then we can fully protect them, because the governor will be paying allegiance to Yoruba land and not to another place. I think these are the few things we can look at and we can do to help our brothers and sisters over there to get and feel the protection and the love we have for them. Mostly, we will begin now to talk to these are people and our governor, that they should consider sharing intelligence information with Kogi and with Kwara Yorubas on how to protect themselves, and making sure that our Amotekun can be able to look over there, so that in case anything is going to happen, we can look at what we can do to help to protect these people. Thank you very much. Thank you, Are. Can we move to the last speaker we have currently, if you don't mind?
I think we have Laban.
Okay, yeah. Laban, are
Laban.
you there? Yes, we hear you. Please go ahead.
We can't hear anyone, sir.
Can you hear him now?
Yeah, can you speak up a little bit louder, sir?
Okay, just try to speak a little bit louder, okay? She can hear you now.
Okay. All right then. All right, perfect. Like I was saying much earlier, I appreciate my time in this space. I guess this one of the most this is by far my best space so far. And I heard I had a whole lot of things by Mr. Are, and the life he shared was just awesome. And just a little question from my end. And I saw that this is the part three, so I don't know. Please, can I get the part one and also the part two? I don't know if it was recorded. Because I went through the timeline, but I didn't see anything like that. So I don't know if I could, if it was recorded. Please, can it be dropped on the jungle tune so I could just walk, so I could just listen to it, please. That's majorly why I had to stay on this page. Please, I don't know if it's possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Laban. Okay, Madam Duka, you want to talk about that? I think we have those recordings, right? Okay, good. So, Mr. Laban, we
Yes, sir.
we have all our recordings. If you go through our timeline, okay, on this T-Wife park that you're on, you
Okay.
see all our recordings there. And if you want to watch on YouTube, we have them all the videos there. Yeah, just search for TYF. That's Think Yoruba First on YouTube. You see all the recordings there, on video session, And also we're on, I think we're on Facebook, Twitter, and almost all the social media handles. And you see all the recordings as they happen there.
All right, guys. Thank you so very much.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
very much.
Thank you very much. We're very happy to have you with us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's an honor. Thank you.
Do you have any more speakers, sir?
No, for now, no. Oh, somebody's trying to come up. Oh, it dropped again.
Madam Dabiri is up.
Oh, Madam Ebe, yeah. Oh, Madam Ebe, Emma Binuma, Madam
Echo
Ebe.
Government, it's been a long time. Madam Dabiri ṣe wà ń bẹ̀.
Okay. No, I've been
Ẹ bá wọn sọ̀rọ̀, ẹ káàbọ̀ mà. Ẹ kú gbogbo ìgbà, ẹ káàárẹ̀ mà.
no. It's always learning one thing or the other about history that some of us don't get to read in books or go and search for the books and read it. We have been enriched. And this, for my friends who are not so internet savvy, whatever I hear here, I explain to them and they see the reason with me. The people I really feel sorry for are the people in Kwara and Kogi. And it's just a shame that Yoruba people were just shared anyhow and they were put in Kwara. But I want to ask a question. Is it not, now that they are doing constitutional review, is it not possible for these people to agitate that they don't want to be in this Kwara? They want to be with their kids and kids. Is it not possible? It's like the people in Kwara and Kogi have resigned themselves that they have shared them there. So they would like to say it's now that these bandits and terrorist issues are coming up. That's why now they are really, I think they felt more comfortable staying in Kwara. Because what with an Ekiti local government be doing in Kwara? When you will just walk across the small Ekiti town, Ekiti local government, and within 15 minutes or even 20 minutes, you are in the real Ekiti state. So I don't think these divisions are sacrosanct. I remember the town in Ondo State, Sobe. One time they will agitate, they will put them back in Ondo State. The other time they will agitate, they will put them back in Edo State. I don't know where they are now. While we feel, while we are empathizing with our kids and king in Kogi and Kwara, they should also rise up and demand for their rights there. We cannot, these people we are dealing with, like Kale said, if we don't speak up, they will think that we are contented with what they are giving us. So my question is, can something not be done to remove them from these states where they don't really belong?
or create a state for the hegemony, let them go away and let the Yoruba state in Kwara stay together and Kogi. That's my question. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Ṣé mo lè béèrè ẹ ṣé Madam Dabiri? Can I answer?
Yes, ẹ bá mi lọ́wọ́
ẹ ṣé.
I'm invited.
Question tí tẹ́ sọ yìí ó pọ̀ díẹ̀ o. The Yorubas of Kogi have been fighting a long and brutal war for their survival. Ẹ jẹ́ kí n sọ tá ṣe fún wọn. Ní Second Republic, the Yorubas of Kogi, àwọn Okun àti àwọn Ògòrìmàgòǹgò, Wúà Àkókó àti àwọn Èbìrà, they used to be in former Kwara State. Ìgbà tí àwọn Yorùbá bẹ̀yẹn, àwọn Yorùbá, pure Yorùbás, àwọn náà control politics in Kwara State. In fact, by 1984, the UPN, Ẹgbẹ́ Awólọ́wọ̀, òun ló win the election, governorship election, Kwara State. And that was a big problem in Kogi State, in Kwara State, old Kwara State. Mo ṣe máa ń bẹ̀rẹ̀ náà nìyẹn tó máa ti rí pé ṣe yẹ kí n sọ bí àwọn Fúlàní aristocrats ṣe máa operate. Tó máa ti rí pé àjòjì ló ń govern Nigeria, tí òun ṣe ara wọn ló ń govern Nigeria, president Nigeria. Tó máa ti rí pé something is about to change, wọ́n ti ń lose agbára wọn at the state or federal level, wọ́n máa orchestrate chaos. Wọ́n wà very brutal gan o. They orchestrate chaos like they did under Jonathan. So chaos yẹn wọ́n lọ gbé Buhari wá tí Buhari fi ṣe coup ní 1984. Gbogbo àwọn ọba tí wọ́n upgrade ní Ṣàwó, ṣàgbọ́n dárúkọ ọ̀rọ̀ lọ́rin fún yín, ní Mòró àti Asa local government. The first thing Buhari tí Buhari kọ́kọ́ ṣe ni pé ó sáré lọ fi military governor síbẹ̀ tó reverse tó make sure kó downgrade àwọn Yorùbá síbẹ̀. Ìgbà yẹn náà ti ń jókòó pé kí náà máa ṣe láti destroy Yorùbá Kogi àti Kwara, Yorùbá Kwara. Ìtàn ṣe wọ́n wá lọ yọ gbogbo Yorùbá nukun Kwara, gbogbo àwọn Okun, a old Yorùbá tribe, the Okun people, they removed them from Kwara State and went to go and put them in Kogi, where they became isolated and decimated. Ṣé ọ̀rọ̀ mi yé yín? So ẹ wò nísìnyí kí Èkìtì, kí irú Ọ̀yọ́ State kó wá wà pẹ̀lú Kwara, ká wá gé Ọ̀yọ́ State sí méjì, ká wá fi àwọn Òkè Ògùn ká fi sínú Kwara, ká wá lọ mú Ìbàdàn ká lọ fi sínú Benue. Ṣé àwọn bá ti wíkì wa, wọ́n ti destroy wa. In tí àwọn military junta, Babangida ló ṣe iṣẹ́ burúkú yẹn against the Yoruba people. Under the military rulership, there is a limit to your power on how you can fight back. Torí ẹ̀ ní tẹ́ bá ń wò ó, àwọn Fúlàní náà fi ń pariwo, àwọn Igbo náà máa sábà lò fún agenda, I'm sorry, Igbo elite náà máa ń lò fún agenda yẹn. Wọ́n ti ń pariwo coup d'etat, wọ́n ti ń plan coup. Torí coup, with coup d'etat, wọ́n máa reverse gbogbo tí Tinubu ṣe. With coup d'etat, wọ́n lè maintain hegemony wọn. Wọ́n dẹ̀ mọ̀ pé àwọn máa play up the Nigerian patriotism. If you see an average Fulani elite criticizing Buhari, they are criticizing Buhari not because they don't like what Buhari is doing. They criticize Buhari because Buhari rocked the boat. It was during the time of Buhari tó yẹ pé secessionist and self-determination bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní rise. Because into a keep Buhari for into share within 20-30 years, Buhari fair share within 8 years. Which is about domination of Nigeria. Sherry, there's no point hiding things anymore. People are seeing it. But one share power between the north and the south. The Fulani aristocrats, they cannot achieve anything via that. It's not sustainable. Today, another fellow Islamic nationalism. Boyati, Muslim north, a Muslim from the north and a Muslim from the south. But with what Tinubu has done, they can no longer play that card anymore. Because they believe he's not doing what they thought he would be doing. Which would have thrown this country into a state of war. So it was under Babangida that the Yoruba of Kogi and Kwara were decimated. Today, Maria and one can see, oh, Kogi is one. Nobody's going to break Kogi. There was nothing called Kogi 35 years ago now. It was Babangida not created now. Babangida there to push the sale to share another thing. Or to break Yoruba kingdom, Mujeba, or break Esimeji, or for penny the other side. So at the end, go Yeni Ojari, àwọn Yorùbá Kogi try, àwọn Yorùbá Kwara àti Kogi try o. Àwọn tó yẹ kó speak for them. Only àwọn Yorùbá nationalists and socio-cultural organizations bí Afẹ́nifẹ́re tí àwọn ọ̀tá wa títí lọ invade láti weaken. It's the bitter truth. Which is why there is TYF tí gbogbo wa fi gbọ́dọ̀ pa ohùn papọ̀. And with other internationalist organizations of Yoruba heritage, where we must make our stand known, the Yorubas of Kogi and Kwara must be brought back to the West, unapologetically. Bring our people back to the West. If you can bring 90% of our people back to the West, we are happy. Otitowa, at least that is more than a victory. So, and there are a lot of saboteurs. Àwọn aríjẹnídìí mọ̀dàrú tó wà ní àwọn Yorùbá Kogi àti Kwara, aláwọn èèyàn burúkú yẹn náà lẹ̀ Yorùbá. People that will always use crews because of crumbs, sell their people out to sell slavery because of political power and hegemony. So it is left for us to organize and empower the Awolowo tó fi kú kò fi àwọn Yorùbá Kogi Kwara Delta tẹ̀dó sílẹ̀. Ó defend wọn tó fi kú ni. So they ìtọ́jú wọn rí ẹ má fi experience ti yín wé àwọn Yorùbá Kogi àti Kwara. They are seriously humiliated and decimated. Ìsìn ni ojú wa ṣe ń ṣí síbẹ̀. Tí àṣírí ìkà tí àwọn tó ń ṣe fún àwọn Yorùbá Kogi àti Kwara ṣe ń tú. Torí ẹ̀ sì wọn ò ní military, torí ẹ̀ ní democracy is dangerous for feudalists. Democracy is dangerous for feudalists because one way or the other, they will lose power in a country like Nigeria. So that is why I'm telling you, they are looking for coup at all costs. Torí tí ó bá sí coup Buhari 1983-84 ni Yorùbá Kogi àti Kwara would have been liberated. Bá ti rí ṣe. Ṣebí Mohammed Lawal ló dìde ní 1999 tán pa ní fọnáfọṣù. Wọ́n waste ẹ̀ ní. When he wanted to liberate the Yorubas of Kwara. Ìsìn láṣẹ ní same political leadership ní Kogi State. Ṣebí Dino Melaye ló ń rú ni ló ń represent wọn tẹ́lẹ̀. Now look at the kind of leadership ta níbẹ̀. Nítorí àṣẹ ń rebuild ni. So the Yorubas of Kogi and Kwara, they need our prayers, they need our support, they need help. They are trying. That leaders that Baba Shaju, ẹ lọ kà nípa àwọn pa Ọláwọyìn àwọn yẹn ìgbà tí wọ́n sọ pé Awólọ́wọ̀ wọ́n fẹ́ Awólọ́wọ̀ lọ sẹ́wọ̀n àwọn bàbá Ọláwọyìn sọ pé bó làwólọ́wọ̀ ṣe máa lọ sẹ́wọ̀n táwọn ò ní tẹ̀lé wọ́n lè sọ fún George ẹ mọ̀ kulẹ̀ fáwọn ẹ mọ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ làwọn gbọ́dọ̀ tẹ̀lé bá Awólọ́wọ̀ lọ sẹ́wọ̀n ìwọ sọmọ fà. so àwọn wọ́n ti ta ìjẹ wọn sílẹ̀ torí Yorùbá Kwara àti Kogi làwólọ́wọ̀ ò fi jẹ́ kí South West tó lọ declare independence because of the Yorubas of Kogi and Kwara because the Southwest, the Western region could have gone in solo and gone ahead and go and become our own independent country. When there was a deadlock as regards to when we were negotiating for Nigerian independence, the 1950s Constitutional Conference, it was Paula Wani that was weeping and crying. But you cannot leave us. If you leave us in the northern region, they will annihilate us and they are coming for you. And he was right. So I want to share Kawagirini. We fortify the Southwest and we will fight with all our lives for the liberation of our people in Kwara State and Kogi State using political means. We will organize, we will protest. We are not seceding. Just do border realignment. Kogi South, Kwara South, and Kwara West, Kogi West, and Obodimagongo. Bring it back into the West. Do a kind of a plebiscite and bring our people back. Now we are politically strong at the center. We can lobby, we can negotiate. It's as simple as that. Kinofe, we can ask about it. The entire six southwestern states should negotiate, ask for what is needed. We have that political clout. I think I've said enough. I share my
Sorry, sir. Who is speaking? Babakari.
Yes, good one. Just one question, please.
Mr. Goodluck?
Yeah.
Oh.
So, can I want to ask is where do this because market or more balkanize people take me and I think it's very high level statecraft. Where do they get this idea to do all this?
Because you are dealing with an imperial ethnicity. You are dealing with an imperial ethnicity that built 5 empires within 500 years. They are advanced people. An empire building people should not be underestimated.
Okay, thank you, Are. I think Alabi is up. And that should be our last speaker, if I'm correct. Mr. Alabi, are you there? Alabi?
Mr. Alabi is on stage. Mr. Alabi won ní speaker wọ́n on stage. Ẹ lè gbé wọn wá sókè.
Oh. Because he requested for...
While we're waiting on him, I just want to add one more stuff, thing. So we know now that our leaders in the Southwest are planning something. And for many of us, we have concern because we're talking about state police.
Hold on, Mr. Alabi, hold on.
So we're talking about state police now. And as Ari has mentioned, state police has to have indigenous people. So we need to emphasize on this because we have to remind our leaders that this needs to be done properly. It needs to be effective. It needs to be for what it's meant for. And like I said earlier, we want them to work with Yoruba leaders in Kwara State and Kogi State. And not just Kwara and Kogi State, also in Edo and Delta State. Because it's very imperative now that we start to be a collective and we look out for one another. Because like I said, I've seen quite a number of people from Kwara State longing to be part of that Southwest security architecture. And I've also seen some Yorubas as well who have already started to, see Kwara the way it should be seen as part of it's Yoruba land. It's Yoruba land. It's part parcel of Western region. So they've started to sit in that regard, and they're also asking questions that why is Kwara not included? Because they can tell and they can see themselves that there are issues in Kwara State. So I'm begging Yoruba leaders again, ẹ jọ̀ọ́, ẹ̀yin bàbá wa, ẹ̀yin màmá wa, à ń rọ̀ yín ni, ẹ jọ̀ọ́, ẹ ní láti wá nǹkan ṣe sí ọ̀rọ̀ ilẹ̀ Yorùbá torí ó ti délẹ̀ tán. It's already home. So ẹ jọ̀ọ́, bàbá, I will let you take over. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Labi, are you there now? Can you hear us? Mr. Labi?
I've been muted since now.
It's go ahead.
So I think when we are good evening, and I commend you for speaking up for people like us, and this is why people like us we don't always give a damn when anybody talks about the Emirates. We don't even in our own mind and brain we don't think it exists. It's just because of the ignorance and weaponization of our people in those areas. And if you recall the conversation I had with you some times back, I think our leaders in the First and Second Republic, they were in sync. They were in unison. But there's a big disconnect in this current day, and I am one of this person that I have a deep-seated disdain for the current governor of Kwara State, because his body language, his behavior, his character does not show somebody that is a committed person in terms of the interest of our people, particularly people of the fellow local government, Kwara South particularly, and Babanla area, those Bodisa, Jeba, every of their polity and their behavior is just centered around the Ilorin West, and where the central Ilorin, by the way. So I think people need to just understand that we have somebody that is just like a figurehead, a representative of our adversaries. In those days, those governors used. In fact, we had a conversation when these useless people that our perpetual enemies sent a lot of our grandparents out of the civil service. The nurse. Do people know that people in Kwara State lost their job? Either you are working in the civil service, you are working as a nurse, you are working as a teacher, you are working as a local government, whatever. People lost their job after the military era, and then it was people like Bola Ige and Bisi Akonde that came in defense of our people to give them jobs in Osun State. Is it Osun State or else? And because people don't know all this, that is why they always kind of smile a little bit in the face of these people. They don't mean well for us. What their intention towards us is to weaponize and feudalize us, and we should accept it that way. And the only way we need to do that is to weaponize Yoruba nationalism around that area. Another point is in Kogi. This is why I used to tell people, if you want to fight for the interest of your people, so because of his personal ambition, he went to ally with Anegala. This man is a very close ally to Babangida. It was Yoruba people that financed, that did work, to work. Since 1991 or whenever they created that state, a Yoruba person has never become the governor of that state. It is a power toss between the Igala and Ebira. The only time a Yoruba man became the governor was when one of the governor died, and he was the deputy. It was even an interim, maybe 2 months. So we need to be serious, and we need to know that the people even around us, some of the ethnicities around us, they are not nice. Some of them have been conquered via Islam, and because most of the people around us, most of them are Muslims. And I think so we need to know that we are not in any business of laughing or playing politics of pandering or politics politics of convenience with anybody. We must be serious. And I hope and pray in the next 15, 20 years. Maybe, I don't know, maybe somebody like me would join politics, but we will need people to be able to speak like people like us. And some of the people that we want some years ago, there's a guy on Twitter now. He's always crying every day. From 2 years, 3 years ago, we warned him that this is what is happening. He called us Fulani Eater, Fulani Bigot. He called us. Today, anytime he hosts his space, he's going to invite me. He will call me and please come. Because, you know, me, I know the people I am dealing with. I intentionally took my time. I went to read J.S. Olawoye's book. The day I read the book, I wanted to cry. People don't know that most of our obas in those areas, this alien in Ilorin told them, his father or his grandfather told them to pull up their shoes and their crown when they are having traditional council meetings. It is something very, it's something I can't explain to the end. But you know, we are majority, but some bunch of minorities that are in harmony are just treating us like bunch of clowns. But I mean, I thank you for the good work. I should go.
All right, do you have anything to add?
Right on point. Right on point. Thank you, brother.
All right, sir, do we have any speaker left for tonight?
I don't know. There's none. If I'm correct, there's none.
All right.
Madam Ajikale, anybody? Okay, we're good. We can.
Okay. Right. So that'll be all for this session. We thank everyone for joining us every week, as always. Thank you for the support. We thank you for also spreading the message across Yoruba land. We hope that our leaders, that they are listening to us. I'm sure that they are probably most likely listening to us. We are begging them and urging them because they are in a position of power and they have more power to do more things than we can. We can only continue to speak up and beg them and do the little parts that we can. So we're begging them that they need to be more cohesive. They need to be a collective and they need to also carry us along in certain ways. I know they can't tell us everything, but whatever little they can share with us, they need to carry us along. So we should also be able to play our own part. And next week, we would continue with our series. We thank you very much for always being here. We hope to see you next week in good health and with sound mind. And I'm praying that before we see again next week, there's no any terrible incident across Yoruba land and Nigeria. Ọlọ́run á ṣàánú fún gbogbo wa. Ó dàárọ̀, ojú àtún àárẹ̀ o.